It's that time of the week. It's time to get beefy. We're here. We're live. Of course, we're a little late. Fucking rookie. White guy with his
White guy
chicken.
always makes us late. That's our new cliche.
Who, me?
And of course, the main guest we got. Vets Talkin. What Soldier Spirit? That's like your other name you go by.
Yeah, that's a Twitter name that I was using for a while, just for some incognito type stuff. And then next thing I know, I'm in the Legion of Memers, and everyone knows me as Soldier Spirit. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's gonna stick now.
Soldier Spirit sounds like a Power Ranger thing. Like, I am Soldier Spirit, and I will defeat you. Hi, yeah! With the power of America, I will punch you in the face.
There's a story behind the evolution of how I ended up with that name, but it's long and boring, and it's just a name I'm stuck with now.
You can make that into a comic all by itself, Just have the hero, some transformation. Yep.
Yeah, I'll start working on that.
Armed with steak and stuff.
Yeah, so if anyone's curious about the thumbnail and the topic, this overarching topic we got, it's not current. Rookie, of course, being the rookie and behind all the time in film with pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
He's just now, because I'm making him,
abusing me into this.
The Mandalorian, and we just watched The Passenger, and he wasn't really aware of the controversy of that episode, and we ended up digging into some articles. Only read them like a little bit because I was like, we should save this for like genuine reactions on stream because it's so funny. But before we get into that, we will just chat a bit with Soldier Spirit and understand his channel. His link is in the description, so go sub to him. Of course, you can say hi in the chat. Anyone in the chat, I want to see beef. I want to see cows. This is all American beef, and yeah. But anyway, Soldier Spirit, take us through your channel. Explain yourself.
Yeah. So my channel. Yeah, my channel we started up in January. It's called Vets Talkin. Drop the G and you'll find me. That's my fun little jingle. The entire premise of the channel, I like to kind of describe us as the collection of military veterans within the Friday Night Tights fellowship. The people who are members, people who consider themselves part of the fellowship, whether we have channels or whatnot. It largely started because I got into the Legion of Memers. And I found out that there was a number of military veterans in there, and I'm like, well, screw it, let's go ahead and start something because I've had an idea, like again, for my name, and it's kind of like where the evolution came from. I always had this idea about starting a veteran channel. I just wasn't sure what the angle to take was. So I'm like, well, okay, those of us in the Legion, we like talking about pop culture. We love picking on, the rings of power and also the crap that Hollywood's churning out. So let's create a channel where us disgruntled veterans can use our perspective and our original way of talking crap on shit to talk about pop culture. And that's kind of what it evolved into, but it also has now evolved largely into the anti-woke shit. As Meth Gator there, we were talking earlier, me and one of our Marine veterans did a reaction video to Tom McDonald's song America, and that very quickly just blew my channel up. I'm over 1,500 subs now and very close to monetization for hours because that video immediately went to, I think it's around 23,000 views at this point. And the Tom McDonald Hangover Gang is some of the most amazing fans out there. So they just subbed everywhere. They've been watching all my videos. So it's been a whirlwind of just absolute craziness my channel's gone through.
How many hours do you need left for monetization requirement?
It's so weird how YouTube works. When I started racking up hours, all of a sudden it seems like it's only every day that all of a sudden the new set of hours accumulates. But I think if I had to guess tomorrow, I'll probably be maybe 200 hours shy of monetization. So the next couple of days, I'll probably be eligible for monetization. Fingers crossed.
Nice. If anyone in the chat isn't sub, go sub. Check out his content. I'm not gonna watch because I don't give a fuck about Star Trek. But he's been covering Star Trek, Mando. He's being current pop culture. It's not just vets and streaming. It's actual content breakdowns. So go watch his stuff. Get them monetized. Make it worthwhile.
It'd be greatly appreciated, y'all. Thank you for the support.
You know, I was thinking, I used to, oddly enough, I found this brand from a Navy shirt because it's like this cool ass octopus shirt, and it ended up being like a Navy shirt. There's this brand called 762 Design. I don't know if they're still around or what they really they had some. My favorite shirt was actually a Sputnik pinup shirt. It was like a USSR hammer and sickle shirt, but it's by them, and I loved it. But I'm fat, so it didn't stay around. But but yeah, they do more just straight like branch based attire last I checked them, but you should look into them and other, you know, stuff to maybe brand yourself with sponsorship or something that could be worthwhile for you.
Yeah, you said 762 apparel.
762 Design was what it was called.
762 Design. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I mean, you know, the ones that everyone knows about for military apparel is 9-line apparel and grunt style, but yeah, I'm always looking to check out other stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to your commentary. Like I was telling you, normally reactions, I just roll my eyes. I've done reactions that are genuine, and it's like even shit I'm like, oh boy, I'm like, it feels like boring ass content, and it's like I don't know what else to access. Just like a glimmer into music might be a bit different, but yeah, what y'all did with your video was actual substantial commentary reflecting on the lyrics and informative for like your worldviews with your channel and the collective of the Vets Talking. So it's good stuff. Totally disagree with the Kaepernick angle. And it's not because I'm a Kaepernick supporter. He's a fucking scumbag. But I support athletes' right to do what he did. I thought it was within the bounds of peaceful protests. I thought, you know, given where BLM's gone,
yeah.
I totally for it. It's just he's a grifter.
That's totally fair. And again, my big thing is I'm always open to having a discussion with anyone who disagrees with me. I had debates recently when it came to the Steven Crowder thing versus the Daily Wire thing. And unlike these ultra wacko woke leftists, we're actually capable of discussing our disagreements and not hating each other in the end. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I forget exactly what it was I was saying as far as the Kaepernick thing goes on that video specifically, but I know that the thing I've always hung on to is that sure he's allowed to have his interpretation of what doing something like taking a knee represents, but it's our interpretation. Those of us who actually fought for the country and fought for that flag, that is an incredible sign of disrespect to those who have bled and died for that flag. So for him to say that, again, this is all a matter of interpretation. Anyone can disagree with it, but to have the interpretation that kneeling is showing respect for soldiers, but just showing this symbolism that America is killing Black people unjustly, that's the opinion of a multimillionaire. Sorry, I'll say he's privileged because he was adopted by a white family and grew in a wealthy community. He was never oppressed. But that's his opinion versus the opinion who fought for that flag. That's a sign of disrespect. So why is it that our opinions, the vast majority of soldiers, airmen, sailors, Marines who fought for this country, our opinion doesn't matter, but the opinion of that one guy does? That's my point on that.
Yeah, I really like that stance actually. No, for me, like I remember when this was like pertinent when it first was starting and stuff, having these conversations like, oh, I don't watch the NFL, they're kneeling. I'm like, I don't know. I think that's a weird take. In my view, it's like if you love American freedom of speech, you gotta we've talked about this in chat where it's like, yeah, I honestly think that some of our great ideals will be our undoing because tolerance, people are always going to take advantage of that. And so it's like this weird sticky thing of like freedom of religion. It's like, well, we let people be involved in like extremist Islam in this country that is hell-bent on undermining this country. And it's like it seems like a paradox, and those are weird questions legally and ethically for what we stand for. It's like, should we ban stuff? you know, because then we'd be like everyone else in some way, and that's what makes us different. But
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like there's not a right answer. It's like Dark Knight kind of territory.
Well, that's why we have, that's why we have the checks and balances. That's why we have the Constitution, which doesn't grant rights; it protects your rights. Us as I know we were talking a little bit about religion, so you can interpret it the way you want, but the interpretation by the forefathers was that that we were granted rights under God, that it is our rights given to us as humans under birth by God. And the Constitution simply protects those rights. So it's when any certain person or organization tries to take those rights away, that is where the crime then entails, and that's where when you have extremist organizations or extremist religions like Islam, and it is an extremist religion when it comes to the fact that they consider people who do not follow the word of Allah in their Islamic text, then you are an infidel and should be persecuted as thusly. I'm not wording myself properly. I'm not a
don't worry about that.
A squire, but you get what I'm saying, where that takes your freedoms away simply based on their religion. Well, that's not where our country stands. You can't be persecuted simply because of your beliefs. You have the right to believe in what you want to believe in, but you can't persecute or act in certain ways that are against our laws. Again, I hope I explained myself well.
It's good. I like it. Yeah. No, the Kaepernick is and everything that can come from that discussion wise, it's interesting because like I've always hated him because he didn't do this until he was on the bench for a backup.
I know. And that's what.
Yeah,
that's
all these people
really
that like don't watch football are like, yes, Kaepernick, and he's oppressed, and they're shoving him out of the league. And
he got benched because he was protesting. No, motherfucker, he got benched. And then he did it. You guys have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
But
he was a terrible quarterback, save for the first year and a half, and then he just went downhill from there. He sucked. Once people figured out his gimmick, he sucked.
Yeah. And what's funny is the whole lawsuit that he tried to do and whatnot to strong arm the NFL. His buddy on the same team, Eric Reed, he got signed by the Panthers. Like he maintained his career. So it wasn't like they were just shoving him out because he's controversial, because his buddy doing the same shit when it wasn't a trend yet in the NFL. He got a job still. And so I don't even know how he got a lawsuit settlement like behind the scenes. It's like, well, what is this? And then the Nike deal where it's like, I haven't played in like 4 years, but I got a Nike commercial for brown people. And yet Nike's essentially enslaving Vietnamese to make their shoes, And it's like, what are you? Oh my God, I hate this.
It's
at least be consistent.
So much hypocrisy. Yeah. And then he creates this, I don't even know what it was, just a YouTube video or whatever, comparing the NFL Combine to a slave auction. Like, motherfucker, you got these people who spend their entire lives striving to get to this point, the pinnacle of sports, and now you're comparing it to slavery. You fucking little privileged bitch.
Who is your team, by the way? Do you follow anymore? Or
I am a hardcore part owner of the Green Bay Packers.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. Yeah. People don't know they're like the last team that's publicly traded or you can get shares of. So
they're in existence.
Yeah, they're still subservient to the people, which is cool.
Yep.
Nice. How do you did they just trade Rodgers, or is that going through yet? Have you seen that?
Everything I saw today, it sounds like the thing it sounds like it is either he's going to the Jets or he's going to retire. It sounds like it's pretty much a done deal that we're moving on with Jordan Love for our quarterback, and the Jets are sounding really enthusiastic. They're close to making a deal with him. So the Aaron Rodgers era has ended, and we are going into Groundhog Day by having our top franchise quarterback moving on for the Packers to the fucking New York Jets. Because if anyone forgot that Brett Favre went to the Jets.
Oh, I totally forgot about the Favre. Yeah.
Yep.
That was that 1 year thing so he could dip out and go to Minnesota. Man,
Yeah,
I was
that
so
was a
mad.
totally different. That was a totally different scenario though, because he had to go to an AFC team, and then after that season, then he had the right to go to an NFC team. That's when he went to the Vikings, so he could beat the Packers.
See, I didn't even know that was a stipulation. I thought that was just a workaround for his deal with Green Bay, like to get out of it because of retirement and all that. That he's on like the hook, and yeah, that's interesting perspective added. How do y'all feel up there about Favre and the whole like Salvation Army thing or whatever fiasco?
I don't know. I want to see his day in court. Because here's the thing is that I know he came out as a true Trump supporter and he's getting attacked a lot. So we know how the media loves to, whenever especially when a celebrity comes out as being right wing, or especially if it's a Trump supporter, that as soon as something happens, they're gonna dogpile on that and make him look like the actual absolute scum of the earth. He could have jaywalked and they would have called him a Nazi. So I mean, and I mean, I'm saying that as somebody who, of course, I'm a Packer fan. I have Brett Favre's rookie cards. I'm a huge fan of his. So yes, I want him to be innocent, but I mean, it sounds like it's pretty incriminating that evidence that this shit was for real. And but I don't know. I just obviously I want to stay optimistic and believe that he didn't know what he was getting into, or just that it just wasn't true. I don't know. I'm just shitting in one hand and hoping in the other. Let's see which one fills up faster.
Oh, let me say out of the chat. Y'all been great. So you got some douche named Soldier Spirit saying hi to Sherry.
Fuck that guy. Kick him out.
Of course, Sherry's here being a good mod. Thank you, Sherry. Sharing links.
Sherry.
We got Curtis YZ, longtime follower. He says, "You know what's disrespectful? Having soldiers die for our rights just for cops to violate them and kill innocent people on our own soil. Piece of shit cops." You know what's funny about that?
I mean, but here's the thing: is that it's not just black people though. This narrative that black people are being killed disproportionately is so preposterous. It's just the fact that is what gets on the news all the time. I've seen so many videos of terrible atrocities of white people being killed too, but you never see that stuff on the news. It's just the narrative that's getting built up to constantly bombard you with this imagery of cops killing black people. It's just cops just want to make it home to their loved ones, the same as we did when we were overseas, man.
Have you seen Nightcrawler?
No, I know what movie you're talking about. I've never seen it though.
Yeah, if it bleeds, it leads. That's exactly it. It works for the sell you the product of the news. That's that's why they do it, because if a cop kills a white guy, it's like, well, whatever. But black, oppression. It's an easy sell. Especially
and it goes the same thing for all these shootings that happen. You'll see the news all over the place. They're saying a white supremacist shot up a mall or something like that, and as soon as the name gets released and it sounds Hispanic, or the picture comes out and he's black, the next thing you know, you will never see that story again. It will disappear faster. It happens all the time. So please pay attention to that. Next time you see one of those mass shooting things, pay attention to what happens. If you all of a sudden don't hear from that story again, look it up. Look it up.
What's funny about all that with like the narrative and stuff? When I was in college for a bit, OSU, I had a PhD like pursuing teacher. He was on his track to get his PhD. I can't remember what exactly, but he was like a film guy. I was in a film class, like film theory and stuff. And he, being a black guy, this was interesting. This is like maybe Trump was elected at this point or is in the running. And he did this great breakdown showing like, first we're talking about like just like picture and how to frame stuff and like some tropes of like women, the classic, like the succubus and vamp and the virgin and all this kind of stuff. And then he's talking about narrative and he's showing like, he used the case of Michael Brown from Ferguson. He's like, here is CNN. And he looks like just an innocent kid. And, he's a big brother. And he graduated high school and he's all good. And then here's Fox and it's like violent hoodlum. And it's like, it's probably somewhere in the middle. And it's like crazy to just look like not even a decade ago what school was, where it was still somewhat objective in teaching how to like rip through the onion of a topic versus like now it's like don't send your kids to college, keep them away. It is an indoctrination camp.
Same with kindergarten. At this point.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
throughout their
now.
entire damn lives and nothing but indoctrination. Hell, watching fucking Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network is fucking indoctrination.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the little like "Don't vote for Trump" kind of things at one point or something. That
But yeah, here's something that's interesting too. That shit's not new. I remember watching Saturday night Nickelodeon Snick and the show All That, and I can't remember her name, but she was one of the more recognizable people on there. But she would do this character of Ross Perot. And every time she would come up, she's holding these money bags. Now, I'm Ross Perot. I'm a bit rich. It was an indoctrination to believe that Republicans were nothing but millionaire privileged white people and that they're evil, fucking greedy people. I remember going through for a large portion of my life before I really started looking into politics, thinking that was the narrative, that Republicans were nothing but greedy old white people who just wanted to get more rich and hated us way down here. And I got that from shows from shit like Nickelodeon. That was just one example of that show. I know it happened on a lot of other shows too. So this has been happening for a long time. This is going back to the 80s and 90s from what I can remember.
Yeah, I feel like back then there was more of a balance to that. Like if there was one, they'd like kind of caricaturize a lot of things that could represent both sides, essentially, back in the day. But yeah, the closer you get to now, the less it's balanced, I would say.
Oh yeah,
but it's interesting too. With a lot of the movies Angus has had me watch, like Dragged Across Concrete, Nightcrawler, Anchorman, they all have. There's a similar kind of thing. Even Scream, like there's like pop culture is like the politics of the future and like not actual news reporting. Like like adding your own commentary to it or whatever. Like the way he does in Anchorman, he's like making up things about the white Bronco, and it's like just not even reporting. It's just like that's what things are now. They're not like the truth part isn't important. It's well, what's the story? But it's supposed to be real events or like real things, and it's like oh no, like in Dragged Across Concrete, like the whole reason that whole thing happens is because they were a little rough detaining a drug dealer. And he's
but
Hispanic.
he was Mexican.
He was and then they're like, well, social media gonna have to put you on the bench for a little while. And it's just like what? Back in the day, this wouldn't be a problem. Okay, he's like, one day I'm just a little rough, and they catch it on a video, and now it's a crime. Like it's bad look. Yep. And it's like fuck. Yeah. So, and then Nightcrawler. So it's just interesting these movies. I don't know if Angus intended this because he'd pick out half these movies here for me to check out. And yeah, there's like a connecting thread in a way with some of that.
I think it's a connecting thread to my worldview. Like there's shades, there's elements of me that you can find in these films. That might be the root. It's not necessarily I'm going to instruct Rookie or
you're gonna indoctrinate me to your views.
Yeah, no, Nightcrawler is very interesting because it is essentially an anti-capitalist narrative, and but you hear that you might in our day and age be like wokeness, but no, this came out like 2014, I think. Jake Gyllenhaal, and essentially he's like this fucking vampire of a person, and it seems willing to kill people to make a buck. And he's like a robber and whatnot, like just steals like copper and shit to try to make money. Has no direction, total incel. And he happens across a film crew filming a wreck, and then this guy tells him, like, if it bleeds, it leads, and that's like a recurring theme. And so he gets hooked on the idea, so he gets like a cheap camera and starts like figuring out how to edit and trying to sell his clips. And getting to stuff, listening to like police scanners, hiring a fucking homeless guy for like $15 a day or some shit to start a crew, and he starts like escalating really quick, getting all these great clips for the news to sell, essentially. And I think the overarching narrative is like capitalism unrestrained makes us predatory, and I don't disagree because like Teddy Roosevelt. He's like a weird amoebus, like American spirit of like he, conserved the national parks and stuff. And he's a hunter, but then he's been to war, and yet he's like busting monopolies, and you can't like pinpoint his politics necessarily. And so like there's proof in the pudding of like, yeah, capitalism, if you don't check it to some degree, like you need some restraint and look out for the little guy, which if you're a business guy, like, oh, these are total communists. But if you're like a mom and pop, you want to fight Amazon. How do you without some laws to restrict them?
Yeah,
So
I get where you're coming from on that, but I would say my argument would be that that human beings in general have a predatory nature. We're always capable of fighting for whatever needs it is that we have at the time. So any form of government you have, there's going to be a predatory nature for somebody to try to climb up to the top. If you were to save the example of the way that people want to move our country right now, and the socialist, which really is communist type movement, the predatory nature at that point becomes the people at the top who are in control. They're going to become predatory of all the people at the bottom who think, oh, well, life is going to be so great because we live in this socialist utopia where we're provided for equally in equity from our overlords. But those are the predators at that point.
Yeah, the people to my left and right are just as in a horrible position as I am. Hooray!
Yeah.
Well, what I was getting at, just to clarify, is that this film has a narrative. It has, I guess, the voice of the director and his viewpoint, but it's not a film that's telling you to think this. It's like presenting an idea. Like Django, when you actually watch Django, it's super woke. It's got a super like negative, like BLM kind of perspective to it, but it's not telling me to think this way. It's presenting through this character. Of course he would have this worldview, and there would be like this sentiment of that feeling, especially from a slave, and all the hurdles and obstacles to get to just normal humanity in this world. And so that's why people that are super unwoke could love Django, because it's not telling you what to think, it's just presenting. And that's what Nightcrawler does. It's presenting an idea.
Okay. I'm glad you explained that way. I agree too. I mean, I like Django. The fact of the matter is that slavery's bad. Does anyone here disagree? No, slavery's bad. Nobody thinks slavery should exist. There was an entertaining movie, and I will say that of all things, it was a Geeks and Gamers stream. Go figure. I'm wearing one of my hats. I was watching one. I've never been on their stream, but I was watching one time, and I never really thought too much about this. But somebody was talking about how they really broke down what woke really is in pop culture now, because we have this tendency, especially any of us who are anti-woke, to immediately assume, if you see a gay couple on a movie, or a large abundance of black characters, then you might start calling that woke. But the reality is no. And I think a lot of us can agree, as long as it's a good movie, I'm going to find it entertaining and I'll enjoy it, as long as you're not trying to force a message on us. That is the definition, I think, of where woke comes in. If you're forcing a message, if it's your ideological message that you're pushing more than anything else, that is wokeism. Just to simply have a gay couple is not necessarily woke. Somebody told me that Knock at the Cabin is not really a woke movie. It's just that the main
super not woke.
Exactly.
Yeah, the main characters happen to be a gay couple, so apparently it's not. Yeah, it's not woke.
It's from it's a book. And I read the wiki because I was wondering did they because we watch Shyamalan. There's not wokeness in his films as far as I've ever watched. And be like, wow, he's preaching to me. He's telling me what to think. He's just makes movies. And I think you talk about Tarantino and Nolan as kind of the top modern directors, but I think Shyamalan deserves to be in that sphere. But yeah, Knock at the Cabin was amazing. Do you think Batista's just like a joke actor? No, and he really shows it in this film. But yeah, it's a gay couple. They show they've been targeted just for being gay in a bar by someone that got in the I guess you'd call him the top in the relationship, the man of the relationship. He's really PTSD from that, and so he goes and buys a gun, and that's a key element in the film in their specific scenario. So if it was woke, that wouldn't be an element. because it's like you watch it and you're like, yeah, get a gun to protect yourself. And Crowder, you know, I don't watch him a lot, but I happen to watch. I don't know if it was a purposeful review of A Quiet Place. He might have just been talking about it when I happened to check him out, but he's saying like, you know, every movie ends up being conservative in some way. You know, like the good movies are conservative at their core. There's always some element of like the underdog or injustice, and those are like conservative ideas that they're not going to be endearing if it's a leftist idea. And of course, he has a bias in even saying that, but he made me think about that. And so sometimes I watch and I think about what he said. And I'm like, yeah, at the core, there is like a, you know, we like to think of like Republicans as like our candidates, but you know, Republican, conservative, what have you. It is, Democrats can be conservative, you know. So I'm thinking about party lines, but think about like the ideas. The platform, the idea of conservatism is like tradition and being weary of change for the society, because we don't want to go off the deep end, and look at where we're at right now.
Yeah. This is where we've gone now is this is the reason why there's been so many of those conservatives trying to hang on to those values for so long.
Yeah. But yeah. Earlier you got Pop Culture PB. He's a buddy. Let me send you the link. Sorry, I'm always bad about putting the link in the actual beef chat. So let me share that really quick. Pop, if you want to pop in and chat some Packer with Soldier Spirit.
Oh yeah, look at he's even got the G on the sleeve. Good shit.
Yeah, I'm a big Philly fan, so yeah, football. Always comes up. Always comes up here and there in our streams.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, no, I'm diehard, and I'm from Oklahoma, so I'm not like a cradle Philly fan. I picked my team. I picked my fandom, and it is reflective of my character, I think. You know, because never seen Rocky. I understand the story and the significance of it. He loses. You know, he's a lovable loser story. That's the spirit of Philly. So even getting a Super Bowl win ever was like finally. And then this year it's like, oh man, it's actually happening so soon after. And then we lost, but it was a great game. Yeah. So I'm just mad about that call at the end. I'm not mad about losing. I don't want to lose, but I feel like we got robbed of a chance of a good loss. Does that make sense?
You know what? Well, so I watch Pat McAfee all the time. He's my radio go-to for sports commentary, and I'll say this, that he made the point also that call was bad in the timing that it was, but he made the point, well, what about the other calls that throughout the entire rest of the game? You can't hang your hat on the entire game being just precedent on that one single call, because you know the entirety of the game. But I mean, it does suck it does suck that it was at that point in the game when it was that important that's obviously what you're going to hang on to. So believe me, I get it.
Wait, what? Hold on. What are you saying, Wizard? Bottom tier level, it's ridiculous. And then Wizard says, you look good, Angus. What are you talking about? You talking about my logo? I haven't shown my face yet today.
I think she jumps to different things sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, normally I wear this is what I call my Sunday hat, my Targaryen hat, because I keep it nice. I don't wear it too much in the sun. It's mainly my streaming hat, because it's like the nicest cap I got right now. I love Game of Thrones, but I'm wearing my work hat. I've had this for like 3 years now. It's the salute service gimmick that the NFL does. They don't give a fuck about vets, but
well, the
I just love the look. I love the look of it. It feels great. I don't really like flat bills, and luckily this has a little bit of curve, but it fucking hurts my forehead after a while. But it looks good. But I love just good. I love a good curved bill and form fitting, and of course, I had to wear this for a vet Talkin appearance, and I got my unit symbol on my hat. And it was crazy when I was in a plumbing apprenticeship a few years ago. A guy he's like the safety guy for the company. He's doing some briefing, and he's like, "Wait, it's like is that Spader?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, I've wore this on all my hats for years, and he's the first guy to ever know what my symbol was. Most people just think it's whatever." He's like, "No, it's my unit symbol. I was Blue Spader, Fort Knox."
Was it? Is it that the distinguished unit insignia? Is that what you're talking about?
No, this is just the symbol of the battalion. We got the battalion I was assigned to. They're Blue Spaders because back in World War One, I guess in France, I don't know, they had blue shovels, and so that became like their trademark, and so Blue Spader became the like thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Nice.
PV, the Pack fan, he can't come on. He's in Toronto waiting, I guess, to come home. He's from Wisconsin, so I guess he's in layover or something listening in. But thanks for stopping in and listening, man. And
I was way home from the UK. Holy shit, what a killer flight that is.
Yeah.
I do not envy your fucking jet lag.
Oh, man. But Rookie, are you with us?
No.
Are you done with your chicken? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. You're good.
So walk the audience through your experience of the Mando up to where we're at and what we're going to be talking about.
I find Mando...
Oh,
was that? No, you're good. Go ahead. Okay, yeah. I find Mando to be kind of boring and kind of lame. I think it's better than like Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi or anything. It's like much better than those shows. Not as cringe. It's just I don't find him with Baby Yoda to be that interesting. I find like the Joel and Ellie type of element to be better. I guess like that type of character. Baby Yoda's just cute and eats things in its sight. That's about it. And so with Mando season 2, we're on that, and apparently there was a whole controversy. I remember there being a controversy, but I didn't really understand it. Like Baby Yoda eats some eggs from this lizard thing that Mando's trying to transport, and everybody was like, "This is horrible. This is an atrocity. Like, what is Disney thinking? This is like something about abortions." And I'm just like, it eats anything in sight, pretty much. This Baby Yoda. And I don't know, this lizard thing kind of left them pretty easily accessible for a little thing to open it. And it's like, I don't know, a lot of people are saying that it's the last of its kind, so it's like eating the last of its people, but based on the phrasing, it sounds like it's just the end of its specific line, like its own bloodline.
Yeah, it's the family lineage, if I remember right.
Yeah, and so, and it's like, it sounds like, oh, she'll never be able to do this again, so she's in her... what was the phase again, Angus? Her phase, like with women when they're in their 40s.
Oh, the epiphany phase.
She's in the Lizard's in the epiphany phase. Like I need to have my babies. So it's like I don't know. She kind of waited a little too long. It seems. I don't know. And,
Okay. To I guess be more objective for the Frog Lady and her mating. It seems maybe that you could argue, not knowing everything, because it's kind of a throwaway character for a plot element, but you could argue that she's like the whale that the lead like chief lady of the water people in Avatar, where she spent many cycles trying to have this baby, and then she finally does, and then they're slaughtered, and it's like all the more tragedy because all the effort that you assume this whale has undertaken
the way reptiles seem to have babies is far simpler than mammals. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, she's a frog lady too.
Here's 1,000 eggs compared to, God, I can maybe get 3 kids out at once. I don't know. That's tough.
Right. So my angle is I fucking hate Disney aliens for Star Wars. They almost all suck. Like the crab spider things are based on a Ralph McQuarrie design. We've seen them before in Geonosis in the Clone Wars, something like it. I don't know if it's supposed to be the same species, if it's a subspecies that's interplanetary, but that's where this specific version came from McQuarrie concept art for I guess Hoth. And so that Disney loves digging into the archives because they're not fucking creative. And so for me, it's so irritating being a my Star Wars is the prequels. That's why I'm a Star Wars fan. And there's so much imaginativity. Like Asajj Ventress and Mother Talzin are derivative from when they're trying to design the Sith in Episode 1. So they go way back as concepts, and they finally made them their own characters. And there's such a wealth of design, even in Episode 1, when it's like just to start, like the effort. If you watch the behind the scenes of like the design efforts of making these just background creatures, it's such interesting science and design work that they put into it. And then you see like the coolest thing Disney's done is like that, like not Chewbacca, like white thing from Rogue One, and then like the red mask guy in Force Awakens. Those are the only two like notable. Like that's a cool design, but everything else is just like garbage or derivative. Canto Bite could have been fucking awesome. It's all just like, hey, here's Star Wars trash from like the first draft, just like Rian Johnson's story. Like that, like 20 boobed opera singer, just awful, disgusting. The Dallas siren that Luke milks. They make like a obvious sex joke with it when Rey's like, oh, you know, like she saw her getting milked. Because the Dallas siren not only is it like getting milked, but it like looks at Rey. She's like, oh God, like she saw a dick or something when she wasn't supposed to. And the Dallas looks at her. I was like, you want some, babe? Like, but yeah, so I fucking hate the Frog Lady. Awful design. I hate stupid looking characters like this, especially when they try to make us endeared to them. You know, like I love the Xenomorph and Predator. And so when I see stupid shit like this and you try to make me like them, I'm just like not having it. This is like Precious Moments or something. Some kiddie shit.
That entire egg eating thing didn't even lead up to anything. It was like it was supposed to be a running joke that was supposed to have a punchline, but it didn't do anything.
It's just it's the running joke of Baby Yoda eats things. That's it. That's the only thing.
He's hungry. He's a growing boy.
He just eats
but
things.
It's like there kept on being these moments where he's like staring at the bin, like, okay, well, where's this gonna go? Nowhere. It went fucking nowhere.
I thought it would have been if they wanted a thing, it could have been that he like burps out little lizards or something out of his mouth, like.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get to a point where like they were going to go on a murderous rampage for killing their babies, but they were like absolutely fine with it in the end. Oh, there's
mom's just like, oh,
missing.
I guess I just have like 50 eggs missing. Whatever.
I guess.
Yeah, you think they didn't notice?
In general, I thought like things that have a cajillion eggs kind of expect losses. Like you're like, oh, I have 1,000 eggs. Well,
not if it's in a secure fucking bin with a lock on it.
Well, that's the thing. It didn't seem to be that secure because Baby Yoda's able to get them. So it's just like
it's why it's funny. Jedi powers.
The little baby can get it. I don't know. It's a little too
These
easy.
aren't the eggs you're looking for.
It's like, why isn't the mama like hyper protecting it or anything? It's like she's just not. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and not look.
You didn't have 20 eggs. You had 5.
Yes. You'll serve me that. You'll serve them to me with chicken.
So we're gonna look over 2 articles about this controversy because it instantly started making us laugh last night, and so I'm like, we gotta not read anymore. We gotta save this for tonight, and because this is like retro. This is new for Rookie because Rookie's the rookie critic, and so he's always fucking behind on pop culture.
This is apparently like anger. People were angry that Baby Yoda ate little eggs.
So here's the article. Baby Yoda canceled amid accusations of genocide. This is from Vanity Fair, so this is like a real trade. Last week's egg-eating episode of The Mandalorian has led to a disturbance in the Force, for real. And the more you read, the more you know this guy just so chomping at the bit to do Star Wars puns. And I kind of love it.
Is word that you're giving spoilers away. This is from like 3 years ago, dude.
No, yeah. This article's from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. That also turns out to be true of the tiny Baby Yoda, who 1 year ago today cozied into the hearts of Star Wars fans with his bottomless eyes, fuzzy head, and adorable cooing. Has invoked genuine social media wrath for last week's episode of The Mandalorian, in which the mystical infant remorselessly snacked on the eggs of an endangered galactic species. Whether this is serious or silly depends, as Obi-Wan Kenobi put it, on a certain point of view. In the latest episode, Baby Yoda himself was swallowed alive by a giant sea creature, learning a valuable lesson about what it's like to be the appetizer. It ended with him playing nice with one of Frog Lady's new polywogs. Given the redemptive turn, it appears this cancellation has itself been canceled. This is how the Tempest started. In last week's chapter, The Passenger, Pedro Pascal's bounty hunter agrees to ferry an amphibious alien woman known as Frog Lady to a swampy, distant world so she can fertilize her canister of eggs, which floated in the brine-like peeled apricots.
Yeah, so they're not even eggs that are like ready to hatch anytime soon either. They're just the eggs that are waiting to.
They're not fertilized. These are unfertilized eggs. This is like a carton of eggs. Amy Sedaris' starship mechanic explains that if Frog Lady doesn't succeed in reuniting with her spouse before the equinox, the eggs will no longer be viable and her line will end. So that's the thing too. At first you watch it and you're thinking, oh, she's the last of her kind, but it's her line. That's like stressed multiple times. So it's like their family, not the species. So it's not genocide. It's just genociding one family. That adds some dramatic significance to the cargo, although there remains debate about whether only her family line would cease or if the loss of eggs would annihilate the species. Then the unspeakable occurs. Throughout the episode, Baby Yoda is caught reaching his little green claw into her unsupervised container in order to gorge himself on the inappropriate morsels.
You're reading that too casually. The unspeakable act of him gorging on the things.
I think I'm reflecting my tone of like, whatever, it's the fucking Frog Lady. The Mandalorian...
evil little demon ate the babies.
The show plays this out for gross out laughs, but a contingent of fans on Twitter has taken the action seriously, expressing anger and sadness that the series would make light of something that is both a personal invasion and a potential extinction level event. That has been countered by many others who feel this comical sci-fi storyline is being taken too seriously. I just want to know who thought this was a good idea. Like, we have this woman whose species is facing extinction, and she's very protective of her eggs. We should have Baby Yoda eat them.
Yeah.
Hey, yay, dude. Bro, high five. Like, what? One Twitter user posted. Gosh, Baby Yoda's losing the charm. I hated him because he ate the eggs of a lady frog and her species. It's in extinction.
No.
And now you get the right emphasis.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Another wrote, Baby Yoda not knowing any better. Genocide for sake of cute humor is never very funny. I mean, I laughed, but I felt really guilty about it.
It's also funny because it's just eating things that it wants to eat. It's not like it understands this is the last of this Frog Lady's line, and by eating them, I'm killing off the.
You know what this makes me think of? Makes me think of that skit of Mice and Men on SNL, where he's like, "What? I was killing them? Like, why did you retarded?"
You told me that a whole bunch of bees come out of that thing and eat them. You know, I'll send them to heaven where there's all these nice things you said there are. It's like, no.
Another Star Wars-centric Twitter user quoted the Frog Lady herself, "We fought too hard and suffered too much to resign ourselves to the extinction of our family line." Frog Lady said after engineering a translator and standing up to a legendary Mandalorian. "But please, use these eggs as the butt of your misogynistic joke."
Misogynistic? Where'd that come from?
There's even a toy.
Still, others expressed disgust at a toy featuring Baby Yoda and the eggs is being sold. "It concerns me that the child appetite might lead to the end of a family line, or maybe the extinction of a species, IDK. But hey, the kid is adorable."
Then so even know why they're mad.
So here's a pup celebrating that genocide.
See, I don't even like Baby Yoda, but I'd buy that just to annoy people.
I would hope that is candy, and that's a fucking candy dispenser. You just shove it in their face and start eating and right in front of these little bitches.
Frog Lady eggs. I love the taste of genocide.
Only available for a limited time because they'll be extinct.
The backlash ignited a counter backlash, with those fans insisting that the complaints amount to an overreaction as obviously a fictional and fanciful situation. Lucasfilm creative art manager Phil Sostak Sorry, I'm trying to pronounce that correctly.
Phil Sausage, let's call him that.
Who usually shares behind the scenes goodies about the show, tried to bring calm to the situation by explaining the intent. That tweet then began a focal point of the complaints with an increasingly hostile back and forth between those who were unhappy and those who thought the uproar was overblown. Yeah, I know I was defending the story choice the other day because I thought it was intentionally very disturbing, not comic relief, and would hopefully have some meaning going forward. But now I'm just incredibly disgusted. But there's another funny article about this from a anti-abortion website. So this will give you some perspective. Like the people that their whole goal is pro-life, anti-abortion, and this is going to be their take. So it's kind of funny because they have some funny quotes in here. Let me share it. And hey, what's up, Chris Fisk?
What's up, Chris?
So this is from Students for Life of America. People are fine with human abortion, but offended by Baby Yoda eating eggs?
Like eating bacon as well? Eating cheese?
One would think our society must be in a really good place and have nothing more pressing to worry about, given that there's a current social media uproar about a Star Wars TV character eating eggs. Oh, yes. Baby Yoda has finally done something sinister to break the spell he cast over fans of the Mando. For those unfamiliar with the show, so he's eating the frog lady's eggs. She's the last of her species, being escorted by the Mando with a canister of her eggs. Last hope for her species. Baby Yoda, who has all of the cute and comedic qualities of a child throughout the series, is seen innocently, given that he doesn't know his wrongdoing, snacking on the eggs periodically. Then the internet blew up. How could Baby Yoda be part of such a cruel joke? Twitter warriors cried.
It's a baby.
In fairness, most of the outraged fans seem more angry on behalf of the frog lady and her species than anything else. The fact that they seemingly legitimately angry about making light of genocide, however, gets into the absurd, and not just because this is a fantasy show about aliens. We are looking at a group of people who are horrified about a lovable little alien eating alien eggs, yet no problem with real-life human beings killing our own fertilized offspring in abortions. Say for a moment that the Mandalorian was not fiction. Baby Yoda wasn't eating children. He was eating unfertilized eggs, which are only half of what's needed to create a living organism. Evidently, both in Star Wars and in real life. Lucasfilm executive even pointed this out himself. To call it genocide suggests that he was killing living, whole, unique frog lady offspring. Though an offshoot, given its fantastical nature, this issue is reminiscent of something we see all the time in the pro-life movement. Many members of the Students for Life team have conversed with abortion supporters who bluntly suggest, if I scratch skin cells off the back of my hand, am I committing genocide, or are blowjobs cannibalism then?
You killed the skin cells on your body when you do that. So that's when you cut your hair, you're killing your dead hair or something. I don't know.
It's just funny that like the pro-life page is like, what's the big deal?
That is kind of funny. Well, it's like it's like, were people upset when the Death Star was destroyed and like how many people on that were killed and families torn apart from that? It's like, I don't know, baby ate some fucking eggs.
Oh, I like that, Christmas. So he's like, LOL, it's an orange Skittles dispenser. And he says, eggs? What happened to it's just a clump of cells?
Yep.
Yes.
I wish
I love there's one of the reasons I love Tom McDonald so much and why I want to do one of the reviews. As soon as I saw that, it made me think there's one line. Oh God, now I can't remember. It's just on top of my head. If NASA finds a cell on Mars, it's sign of life on Mars, but a heartbeat isn't a sign of life on Earth. So yeah, obviously he's more artistic, but I mean it absolutely is, the hypocrisy of these people. You find a cell, oh look, there's life on Mars. Okay, well we have a being here that actually has a heartbeat, but that's just a clump of cells.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me find it. I think there's a great meme to express what you're saying.
Sounds funny. A clump of cells, otherwise known as cock, I guess.
Cocks. That'd be cocks.
Clump of cells.
I There's a funny Wojak meme like that where it's like, yeah, they find life on other like bacteria on other planets. Like, oh my god! And then it's like a fertilized egg. It's like it's just a clip of cells.
Kill it with fire.
Yeah. Plus, they call it a parasite in the mother's stomach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is like just children in mammals is a parasitic relationship.
It's living off of your body. Yeah, I mean, it's not inaccurate.
That's kind of the rules of engagement until it comes out of the body.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, whoever invented babies needs to rethink what they need to do.
What was that person thinking?
Design choices making women fat. Like, what is wrong
that's
with
something that I get on with the whole perfect design and humanity, and we're in this because the whole idea of like God made us in His image, and perfect design. It's like, for perfect, then like you realize how easy it is for a woman to like just wipe her ass wrong and get infections because God put the asshole right by the vagina. It's like, that's not really perfect design, like my perspective.
I went down this road too, trying to figure out, like, do other animals go through the same kind of pain that human women do in birth? Because I mean, it's terrible. It's torture for women. I have mad respect for women who go through that. But I looked it up, and like the closest I could find was some sort of not marsupial, but it's some sort of an animal that basically the female has. Even the website kind of described it basically as a very long, tubular, like almost like a clit. Like the baby like comes out this massive tube out of the mom. It's really gross looking. It's a very narrow tube, and apparently it's very painful to the animal. But the animal's still standing up on all four legs while it's giving birth. It's not going through this massive, screaming, painful agony that humans do. So it just leaves me to wonder, like, how the hell did that happen?
Well, it's
Why
like
do humans go through that?
Well, it's funny because that might be true for like with human stuff. Like with wildlife, they have to worry about as soon as it's born. Okay, now I have to protect this fucking thing, because it's like apes, primates don't give birth to, like, the mothers don't give birth in front of the pack. They go and like kind of try to chill out somewhere for a bit.
They go to the corner of shame
because in a weird way, like the some of the chimps in there will see it as like extra competition or something, just to, like, kill it, or they'll like drop it from a tree or something, and it's like, oh well, thanks. So they have to like slowly kind of come back into the crew a little. It's weird. And then like there's other ones where it's like, oh, a deer could be given birth, and then a Komodo dragon just yanks the baby out of its womb as it's given birth and then eats the baby. It's like, okay, yeah, that's frightening scenario.
That's terrible.
Nature's beautiful, huh?
Nature, you scary.
Depends what day you look at it, I guess.
Oh yeah, the whole like, I hear Rogan talk about this a lot, about like the harmony of nature and this libtard view from the comfort of your home. And it's like, no, like there's no like harmony of nature. It's like, it's cutthroat. Everything's vying for supremacy, and they just coexist because of numbers. Essentially, they're all
Go look up a video of a baboon tearing a baby fawn to pieces as it's still alive, eating it alive, and you tell me how wonderful and beautiful nature is.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, the lioness lost her husband. Oh, look, a new one's coming in. Oh, no, he killed all the babies. Like, that's brilliant. Yes, beautiful.
Brutal as
beautiful.
Fuck.
Bugs, insects. The insect world is like a hellscape. I would never want to tread. You fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Anything there can destroy you in so many ways. Like,
I was watching a thing about ants, and ants are fucking creepy. But there's like this one species where like the male, because most species the males have the wings, and it's pretty big and sizable. It comes in, and like I guess the Queen's Guard just instantly, like, if he's got a good signature smell or something, they like rip his wings off.
What?
Yeah, it's weird shit. And
if they like his smell, they rip his wings off.
Because like bugs are very like pheromone based, and so if he's got like the good signature, or if they read a good signature from the queen accepting his scent or whatever, then it's like, okay, you're good. Let's rip your wings off.
Yeah. Welcome, brother. Welcome to our cult.
So if I were to pick up a chick at a bar and she rips my arms off, does that mean she's into me?
Yeah, bro, it's love. That's called,
Yeah, I'm
guess you're
scoring
good.
that, y'all.
in
South
South
Park
Park. Did it
because I can't reach my wallet.
in South Park? They were like making fun of the royal family in Canada. This was an older one actually, where they're like, and now the bride is ripping her arm off, and now the prince is shoving it up his ass, and it's like as is tradition in Canada. Like, okay,
almost every spider species, the male gets consumed. Or I think there's one where like the male like knocks out the female so he can actually get away after he mates, because otherwise she's going to eat him.
That'd be a funny like TV show. Have like a spider male that's like trying to escape all these women or something. It's like, I'm not gonna die today.
No, do like the classic, like, 50s, 60s sitcom where it's like, hey, honey, I'm home, but it's
The
spiders,
spider,
and
yes,
he like has
trips
this
over a footstool,
and
and with the spider legs.
fucking Dick Van Dyke. Yeah.
Yes, that would be funny. Oh yeah.
But yeah,
I think I'll get on weird topics like this all the time.
No, it's fun. Let me see. Chris Fisk says, if it's a perfect design, why did God make the recreation center and the sewage facility in the same location? Exactly.
That's a good way to put it.
And he says, no, nature is trying to kill you. It only looks majestic from the comfort of your modern home.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, how we've abstracted so much, that we're not really in tune with nature. It's not really, we don't live in a way that is cognizant of what's outside. Like I saw Cocaine Bear the other, like a week or two ago, obligatory being the Meth Gator creator. I got to see any drug-based animal stuff. And it's very disappointing because if you don't know, spoiler for the real life, the story of like, yeah, they dropped cocaine from a plane for like their drug run or whatever, and then a bear found it. But there was no activity recorded of this bear. They found it dead because it ate the coke and its heart just blew up essentially.
Yeah.
So the fact they made a pretty good narrative around this ridiculous real story that went nowhere, I tip my hat off. Elizabeth Banks did a pretty bang up job. The movie freaked me out in an element of like the horror of like mauling, because that's something where I'm like, I'm biting my I'm like bracing for like, oh wait, where's the bear coming to kill these fuckers, and how's he gonna kill them exactly? What's the carnage gonna be? I'm like tensing up because I work at a factory and right behind us is the woods. Like a bear could be out there and happen to get one of us when we're taking a smoke break. Like it's a very real thing. Like Jason, Freddy, that's all stupid. It's fantastical ultimately, but a bear, or gator, whatever, a lion, that could really happen, depending where you live. And so that's an element that actually like gets under my skin a bit watching shit like that. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check out Cocaine Bear. It's really fun, especially right after Ant-Man. And there's like that first day where it's like Cocaine Bear beats Ant-Man for like a Friday. And it's like, and afterward I was talking to like the ticket guy, and like everyone coming in was like, yeah, it's like Sunday, 8 p.m. They're like, yeah, 2 for Cocaine Bear. I'm like, yes, this is winning.
So what's the movie really good for? Is it good for the action? Good for comedy? Does it have that comedic value, kind of like Sharknado, or what?
Oh, way better than Sharknado. It's actually pretty consistent thread. So you got a web of people that are all kind of converging around this Cocaine Bear. You got Carrie Russell's a mom, single mom. She's got a daughter, and her daughter's playing hooky that the mom doesn't know about. She's playing hooky with like this kid that likes her, but she's just like friends with him. And they're doing shenanigans out in the woods. They find some coke, and of course it's in the realm of the bear. And then there is Aaron Reich from Solo, is the son of Ray Liotta, the drug dealer that is like really middle management under the cartel for this region. And so it's like, we got to find this fucking cocaine because like they're going to kill us if we're short. And so it's part of it, but he's trying to like disown himself from the family because he doesn't want a part of it. And he's also like, boo-hoo, my girlfriend or wife died of cancer. So he's not really being a dad to his kid right now. And then Ice Cube's kid is like a lackey for Ray Liotta, the drug dealer. And so he brings him in, Ehrenreich, into the plot for their story. And then there's like the subplot of the park ranger lady is hot for like the leader park ranger guy, but he's kind of like oblivious and just so devout to being a park ranger. And so it's kind of those three stories all intertwined at different points around the Cocaine Bear havoc. And yeah, it's ridiculous, stupid, it's awesome. It's fun. Like I would take my kids to it.
Okay.
I don't shy my kids. The only thing, it might sound weird, but the only thing I shy my kids away from, I don't let them see, is like sex. So, like they can watch Game of Thrones they want. I'll just like skip the sex scenes, like the actual sex, but like nudity, whatever. That's my sensibility. Maybe it's because I grew up so restrictive that I'm like kind of to some degree aware, but like complete opposite because of having that restraint on like just everyone else is seeing X thing. Like I grew up I couldn't watch Power Rangers because it was
you couldn't watch Power Rangers, couldn't watch Harry Potter, like that was too dark.
Yeah,
apparently for his household.
I might sound extreme to some people, but it's like it's because I grew up extreme, and so it's not me being rebellious. It's just like that's not functional, you know.
Yeah.
I spent my first 3 years in the army stationed in Italy. Over there, you get right on their basic freaking regular cable there. You'll have freaking cuss words and nudity and fucking everything over there. So, I mean, kids are growing up seeing that shit all the damn time, and still Italians seem to be, you know, they're not off the handle, off the chain.
I think that's a culture thing because we're Puritan rooted, like our culture,
right.
We're in the Puritans. And so no matter how like free we are with sex and OnlyFans and Twitter, all that stuff, we still have like this undercurrent of like, that's naughty. We can't do that, you know, and that's the appeal versus you have all the arts, you have like the history of like the oppressive church through theocratic like regimes. And so they're enlightened in that way. They've already grown through all that. They're past it, you know?
Yeah. It'd be one thing, like I feel like if they didn't make like curse words, like, oh, don't say those words, then they wouldn't be as desired to say in common speak anyway.
Oh yeah.
But because they always were, it kind of is the thing to say. And some roll off the tongue far better than other stuff. So just what feels natural sometimes.
I think it's the same thing also. Like kids would grow up over there being allowed to sip wine at a dinner table. But over here, you know, God forbid you should ever ask for one single sip off of dad's beer. So as soon as you turn 21, or you know, obviously before that,
you catch up.
Yeah, well, yeah. Plus, obviously, if you can get a hold of anyone with a fake ID, God, you know, you're going fucking nuts as a kid. Because, oh, you tell me I can't do it? I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going
you get a kid in Italy, yeah, that's like a connoisseur and like totally restrained and doesn't need to. It's not going to go on a binge, crazy going on the street. It's like, hey, of course, I'll have my one glass with my dinner, and you know, that's all I need. I don't need to go crazy. It's all good. And over here, it's like, we're about to be of age. Fuck, let's go. Get as much as we can.
Yeah, no, that's a big problem in our country. Is again that whole Puritan route and the restrictive nature of a lot of stuff. I guess from a good intent, but it just creates way more problems, like the whole just people want to do alcohol because you got to wait so long to do it. They've raised, at least in Ohio, they've raised smoking age to 21. So now you got to be 21 to get snuff or cigarettes, and it's like this just makes kids want it more.
Yeah, the more desire to make certain things. Hey, go ahead.
I remember when I was a kid, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 41. And I remember as a kid, McDonald's ran a campaign for a burger called the McTasty. And the entire ad campaign was this burger is for adults only. This is too much burger for a kid. And guess what I wanted to do as a kid was have a fucking McTasty because you said I can't fucking have it.
Yes, that's literally the logic. They did that in South Park where he has like $1 million. Cartman has $1 million, and he buys a theme park, and then he's like, yeah, I bought it, so I don't have to wait in lines anymore. So nobody else is here. And then he like does an advertisement thing that's like, this is my cool theme park with these cool rides, and you can't come. And then like everybody's like lining up, like, come on, please let us in. No, it's like I'm having fun by myself.
As soon as you tell somebody they can't have something, that's immediately what they want.
For the most part. Sometimes, though, I think we enter ages of the like subversions on purpose that are like, you're saying this to get me to react to this. So no, a little bit depends if it's done too much and by who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that a lot of that's going on now with the intentional divisiveness that's happening in our country. I think a lot of stuff that goes on when it comes to outlandish shit that we see that happens from the political left, from these woke people, I think they do a lot of it intentionally just to rile us up.
Yeah, when many of us fall for it easily. It's just like, instant, reaction to it. That's the thing too. We're very reactionary, not as much doing something before it happens. It's pretty much something happened. Now let's address that issue instead of things before it. But there's also like a gajillion issues, I guess. So like, which one is the focus? You can't just fix them all at once. So what do?
I stand with current thing.
Right. That shifted how many times in the last 2 years alone? Like
shit, I forgot to put my Ukraine flag up in the corner.
Yep. Oh no, that's okay. We'll have a different thing. We're gonna be some other country tomorrow.
I thought about posting this. I saw someone shared a meme image of like the world, all the countries, and it's like you can detonate 3 nuclear bombs, and it's like I want to share it and say Ukraine 3 times. Or maybe Ukraine, Israel, and California. There we go. If I have to spread them out.
Have a little give us a little break over here. That'd be good. It's like I want to it's like, oh, there's Taiwan flag next time or something.
Oh my god, Taiwan.
So who knows?
What a can of worms.
Yeah.
Hey, did y'all see the Chris Rock, the clip going around on Twitter from his special?
No.
I saw Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers tried playing some of it, but apparently he was getting slammed from YouTube for copyright. But yeah, he was really getting on Will Smith pretty hard in that shit, huh?
It's funny because
you said Chris Rock, and for some reason my stupid head went to Jack Black. Like that's completely opposite people, and I don't know why I connected those two. Anyway, go ahead.
Essentially, Chris Rock in this clip is talking about the slap and stuff, and how, of course, Will Smith walks up and hits me. He's like, he knows I can't take him. Of course, he hits me, and he's saying like, man, everyone called him a bitch. He's like, this rapper, like all these rappers, he's like listing off all these people, like this guy called him a bitch, this guy called him a bitch, and he just keeps on like, everyone called him a bitch, and he's like, hits that nail on the head. He's like, he was a bitch, and, and he's talking before he gets on the bitch rant, really hitting home like Will Smith's a bitch for that, and he's getting me money for being a bitch, like, but he talks about like, man, the shit him and Jada did, where it's like, what's some like ratchet trash shit they did, where it's like everyone gets cheated on, but normal people get cheated on don't have a talk show and interview the person they cheated on, say, how'd that make you feel?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he went hard on that shit. I think it's on HBO Max. I gotta check it out.
Oh, really?
It's either HBO or Netflix, yeah. But
it's on one of the ones I have.
I mention it because Daily Loud shared this thing. It says Will Smith was left embarrassed and hurt over Chris Rock's comments.
Oh, another bitch again. Jesus Christ. God, when
I'm sure they're worried about the frog lady species too.
Yes. Yeah,
I hope South Park does an episode about that.
That would be great. Oh, that'd be great. Will Smith's face, like especially in that interview thing, like is the visual definition of soy for me. Like when I think of like just uncool or unalpha or it's just like, oh, you're just letting her talk about her cheating experience on an interview talk show. You go smack.
I went on just my like journey.
God, it's so hard to think of like, oh, look at the Fresh Prince. Look at this. Cool American icon from before, and look at this,
dude. I try to curate the gifs I share from Twitter in various ways, and some reactions. It's like, oh, well, there's like Will Smith, like shrug, and it's like fucking not using that shit. Like honestly, yeah. Besides maybe I Am Legend, it's just like Will Smith. His career's gone so downhill for the last like decade plus, and it's just so sexy. He had so many good movies in a row for years.
He was
Fresh
the
Prince,
guy.
Yeah,
It was like
Men in
anything
Black.
that had his
Maybe Men in
name
Black
in
I
it
can
was like
still
a
watch, but
must-see fucking movie. Yeah.
not only that element sours me on him, but then this shit with his wife and all the public shit, getting cucked and keeping her when it's Will Smith, he can get anybody, and he settles to stay with a cheating hoe.
And she still walks over him now. Like, that's even worse.
Yeah.
She's not even that hot. I never found her attractive. I do not understand the logic behind it.
I mean, she's back then, yeah, she was cute, but like,
I'm not saying that
worthy of the Fresh Prince. Are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. He could be a supermodel.
Like, how did you not get Beyonce or something? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was prime for him. And Jada.
No, I did just watch Scream 2, and she gets stabbed at the beginning of that movie. So.
Oh yeah, I was like, she was in my head recently. I'm like, why was she? Yeah, we were looking at the upcoming Scream for the watch of all the series, and it's like, oh God, Jada's in this shit. Fuck.
Yes.
Damn it.
She's like, oh, that's a stupid whack girl on screen, and then she gets killed herself in the theater.
Segue, why is the new Scream movie called Just Scream? Didn't we have a movie called Just Scream?
Yeah, and the fifth movie even addresses that's what they were going to call Stab. Like the movies that are in the Scream universe is going to be called Stab instead of Stab 8. And I don't know. See, so I just watched 1 through 5 in the last 2 days.
I just watched 1
for the first time. And so they're all fresh in my head right now. And I actually like this whole series for the most part. I think the fifth one was the weakest, but not horrible. Just, some things were a lot weaker than the other threads that were stronger. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm curious what they'll do with this, but I'm disappointed how they've chosen to focus certain things. The title itself doesn't bug me if the movie's good, but the titling does annoy the shit out of me too.
Yeah, it's like Halloween,
like Ghostbusters, and they name it just Ghostbusters, but we internally go 2016 if we're referring to the recent
Lady
one.
Ghostbusters.
It's just like I hate it. It's like, can you guys not come up with creative names for anything? Like
it's
if they
purposely revisionist.
Like when they made The Mummy again, like but with Tom Cruise or whatever, is like they're fucking. This is the name of another. You already had that. Call it something else. Like.
Well, you know why they do that too, I think, is so like there's Birth of a Nation, and then they did Birth of a Nation, which was like just a black film, and it was purposely trying to like undercut the original Birth of a Nation because that was like pro-Klan. That was the first film on the White House lawn, so they're trying to like overshadow. And with something like Halloween sequel or like Scream, I think just for a company, especially with the streaming services, it's like, oh, when I search Mummy Universal, I'm going to see 3 different mummies. I'm going to see the original mummy from the 30s, and then Brendan Fraser mummy, and then Tom Cruise mummy. So when I watch one, it's like, oh, there's another mummy. Let me check so that'll like get you to like see various ones of the same.
Yeah, but to me that just
company.
says how that just says how unconfident they are that their own movie will be good. A little bit. It comes with a grain of this is going to be lesser than what's come before anyway, and that's just
okay.
Really
so
stupid.
Chris Fisk says they had to rebrand Ghostbusters 2016 with the subtitle "Answer the Call." So.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I know. I think I've seen that on a icon somewhere.
They did that with the Avengers. It's actually like Marvel's The Avengers Assemble.
Oh.
Probably because there's like the 60s show.
That was the name of the cartoon animated show, Marvel's.
Well,
Avengers
yeah, but
Assemble.
there's the 60s British show that has nothing to do with Marvel
No,
comics.
you might be right, because that is when I look up the Avengers, that comes up as well. So that show.
If you really want your head to spin with the explanation of how sequels get numbered and whatnot, have you ever heard of the channel Cinemassacre with Angry Video Game Nerd?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay. He's been around since like the beginning of YouTube, but he's Angry Video Game Nerd is a series on the Cinemassacre channel, but it's hilarious. He goes through, he does mostly Nintendo games because it's fucking an unending catalog of them. So what?
He does the kill counts, right? Is that what you're? gonna get at?
No, I think he probably does something like that, but at least in the Angry Video Game Nerd stuff, he just like rages. He has the nerd character just rages over how frustrating some of these Nintendo games are.
Right.
And the point again is in one of them, he actually in a couple of them, he goes through how certain games got numbered. And the confusing thing is because there's the Japanese releases versus the US releases. So like I think an example was Super Mario for one. We have Super Mario 1, Mario 2, and Mario 3. Well, Mario 2 was never actually a sequel. Mario 2 was a completely different game over in Japan, but it got released over here as Mario 2. Then over in Japan, they actually had a Mario 2, which I think is what became our Mario 3. And then it just goes around and around and around, all these fucking... So this became a sequel of this, but this was a prelude to this, and they got numbered this because of this over here. And it's the same thing with the Final Fantasy series. The entire Final Fantasy series is not actually an accurate number of 1 through 10 or anything. There's all these other ones that got in between all mixed up because of what they did in Japan versus what they did over here, and it is confusing as fuck.
It's like I don't know. All they have to do is make things easy to categorize or organize, and it's like, nah, fuck it, whatever. We'll just make it really difficult. So I don't get it with the Battlefront games. That pissed me off too. It's like I have to refer to the old Battlefront games. It's the originals instead of the new ones that they made. And it's like, why? And especially when a lot of the features weren't there at launch that make it a Battlefront game anyway. It's like, why call it Battlefront? Freaking a-hole.
Oh yeah, it's because Disney wants to overshadow the good Battlefront, so they can sell theirs.
Of course.
That pissed me off. I was so excited about new Battlefront, and then it's like it's just like a mode game. It's not even like really like the Onslaught. It's just like, all right, there's like three modes, and they all suck. And there's like nothing there. Then Battlefront 2, they just spent years fucking cramming more than they could to like, sorry,
they added
sorry,
to it,
gave you a shit game.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate that at least like boosting it, but
it's better than nothing. Better than doing nothing, but still. But real quick, since you mentioned Scream, do you like the Scream franchise, or kind of iffy on it, or you think?
I don't think I ever saw any of them past number 2.
Okay, yeah,
maybe I saw Scream 3, I'm not sure.
Maybe a lot of people hold Scream 3 in low regard, but I mean, I saw them all back to back, pretty much. So I got this full storyline in one swoop, essentially, up to the 5th one, and I don't know. I feel like they play on pretty good. I thought I was going to hate these films because they seem to be so meta with their commentary, and a lot of the topic being about movies within the movies, which I'm like, oh god, how can they do that and not be freaking annoying as shit? But I feel like the Scream movies do it in a way that isn't condescending, where like in a film directed by Rian Johnson, we'll be directly shitting on fans and whatnot. With these, they skirt that line where you think they might, but they don't. And in a way, you're actually rewarded for paying attention the way you are, and you're not shat on in the end with it. It does it because they're being meta. Because they're being meta, they also aren't treating you like you're stupid, though. These are why characters are making certain decisions, and it makes sense why they would do it in their world. So I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely remember that appeal in at least the first movie. Yeah, it was the first one that really kind of, again, like you're saying, it was kind of making fun, but not really, because in its meta way, this parallel of what you would expect of reality compared to what would happen in a horror movie. Like you could actually see this being what you play out for a horror movie if it was happening in real life with the meta commentary and all that. So it definitely has appeal. Like I said, I can't even recall what the second one was like. It was so long ago when I watched it. But I don't know. Maybe it'd be worth going back and going through and seeing the movies again.
I think it would be. I think it would be, and I think that people might, especially ones that casually watch or watch them here and there throughout the years and then watch them back to back, might be like, oh, the Ghostface thing's kind of stupid, huh? Or like it's people copying the first killer or something. But no, they're all connected in a logical way that isn't just, we're a copycat killer, aren't we funny? It's actually like good writing to me and like good character growth, except for Sydney. Unfortunately, they don't ruin her character ever, but they don't show enough of what she's experienced and how that affects her properly. They don't give her that type of screen time in the like 4 and 5 where I think they should have. In the fifth one, I'm just gonna say spoilers here. She has children. They're not. You don't see the kids at all, but you just know that she says she has kids and she's married, and it's like when you see Scream 1 and 2, she has extreme issues with relationships, like the worst kind ever. And like throughout her other experiences in 3 and 4 as well, trusting anyone like is would be interesting to see this character come to a point where she like trusts the man, like trusts to be with the guy that she thinks isn't going to kill her. What does she think when like a phone rings? Like, this character would be interesting like that. But I don't think Scream fans want to see that kind of story. They want to see another killer and what's happening with that sort of thing, which is interesting because that's like how they address it in their own meta in the movies. So it's an interesting loop that kind of happens with that. But I'm worried with number 6 because the 5th one was the least strongly connected. So the 6th, I don't know. I've heard that it's better than the 5th one, but a lot of people hated the 5th one because it references toxic fandom in a way. But to me, it didn't come off in a way that it's shitting on fans. It's just this is an extreme of fandom. But they also show, I think they even show a clip of Cinemassacre actually that they're watching or something, like they're watching one of the videos. Really? And it's like, yeah, that's the normal fans, like just watching YouTube or making content. Crazy ass dudes like this dude is gonna be doing this essentially. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
What I'm seeing on Google, the Scream 6 has 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, 62 on Metacritic. So seems like it's overall well received.
Yeah, possibly. It's hard for me to tell what the public thinks because a lot of times public thinks things that I don't understand why they love or hate something. So we shall see.
Well, I still seem to relate better to the critic score to the public score rather than the critic score, because the critic score definitely has a slant in a certain direction that has nothing to do with the quality of the movie. More often.
Oh yeah, I think the Chappelle special showed that. On top of Last Jedi and Captain Marvel was like real marquee moments of like the slant. Like before,
Skywalker's score was locked in place as well. Too.
Before, like there'd be like Criterion films or like Oscar films, Oscar bait films that will like get a huge like 100% from critics, but like fans, if they even see it, it's like middling or like crap. And it's like you expect that. And now I think with like generally, I would say blockbusters try a lot more to be critically successful and like tighter on scripts and storyline. There's been a shift critically with like blockbusters, not so much disparity a lot of times with critics and audiences, unless it's like political, where like there's an argument of like this is woke, and so then they instantly going to pick the wokeness.
The movie 65 with humans and dinosaurs woke. I don't know. I don't know if that one was.
Actually, yeah, let me look that up because I want to go see that. I'll probably go see it next week.
I've got tickets to see that the day after. I'm seeing Scream 6 tomorrow and 65 the next day.
Got a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I was looking at Hollywood Reporter or Variety. It was saying like, let me see, I want to quote it properly.
Wait, 65 got 25% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
For the critic score or the public?
I just saw the critics so far. Let me see.
Oh, okay. So that means it's a good movie. Gotcha. I want to see it.
See, I don't always buy that because.
Oh, I'm dead serious now. If it's showing that, then that probably means that it's gun heavy and Adam Driver actually plays a real masculine man, and those critics fucking hate it.
So Hollywood Reporter review says 65 review. Adam Driver fights dinosaurs in an underwhelming sci-fi actioner.
That's it?
Yeah, that's your title.
Oh, okay. The way you read it sounded like there's gonna be like.
Well, I don't want to actually read it because I don't want to spoil it for like. I don't care about spoilers, but I don't want to spoil it for y'all. So. I
gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I could see this being shit, but
no, Adam Driver
because like the Jurassic World stuff, but I have no interest in that at all. But this might be.
Yeah, but that's just because the Jurassic World those movies just are shit.
But yeah, exactly. It's like this could be shit too, though, but it also might not be because it's Adam Driver seems to be by himself with like a daughter and a father.
What's crazy about Jurassic franchise is like, okay, the first one is just legit, and you can't just copy it because then it'd be like, well, look, they just did Jurassic Park again. And so they're in a bind with like, all right, we're trying to sell a dinosaur movie, but we can't do the first one because that's already established and we just be retreading. I understand that. I haven't seen Lost World in years, but Rookie rewatched Jurassic Park 3 knowing it's got so much hate. And I watch it and I'm like, this is like a couple months ago, so it's like pretty fresh. And I'm like, this is pretty good actually. Like, there's some dumb things like the Raptors like talking.
Yeah, that's
all. No. I don't mean the Alan thing. Like people love harping on Alan. It's like, well, that's in his head when he's sleeping, so that's totally fine.
But also, I don't know if you know, there's supposed to be a scene with a parrot that like he's trying to get to say his name to say Alan, and then when the raptor says Alan, it's supposed to be like the intelligence level of something psychologically with him. And like his fear of dinosaurs as well, because he does not want to go back to the freaking island of dinosaurs. So it's like, I think it made more sense with the deleted scene. I think,
right, but yeah, watching it, of course, knowing the meme, but then actually watching it constantly, totally fine, makes sense. He's like paranoid about his experience, and
they did trick him they did trick him to come here. Really, it's like, oh. Shit. Yeah, they want to land the plane.
I thought that was totally fine. But there's shit like the scare when the Raptors first come in, like physically in the plot, where they're in that like abandoned research facility with like the eggs and shit. And then there's like the raptor head in the glass. And it's just like standing there. And then all of a sudden like it like looks at her and then it's like, ah! And it's like good jump scare, but like it's actually like retarded that it was just doing that, waiting for her to like look at it, Yeah. And so it's good scare delivery, but like makes no sense why it would do that.
It would have been funnier if its head was stuck or something.
And then like the Spinosaurus is like freaking huge, and then it just snuck up on them, and they only heard it because the cell phone in its belly. Like
when they show it before, like you can hear T-Rex from way away.
Also, I do not get the fucking overlove. I don't know how to better say that.
The overlove.
The overlove for the T-Rex, because the Spinosaurus, like that was a huge statement for them to like shake up the hierarchy of dinosaurs. They bring in the Spinosaurus, which the more you study, the more they've studied about Spinosaurus, it probably would never even cross a dinosaur like this. The totally different environments they live in. But it was like a good shakeup for like the status quo of Jurassic Park. For the T-Rex was had like a King Kong level event in San Diego in the Lost World, and so I thought that was a cool statement, and just visually is cool. And you see like the intelligence of the Spinosaurus like snap its neck and its dexterity, and everyone just like cries about it, so they've never brought the Spinosaurus back, and that was always my favorite dinosaur of Jurassic Park, aside from the raptors, was the Spinosaurus. And I just, serve me, show me Spinosaurus again, but they won't. They just make these stupid dinosaurs. But also this revision that they've set out with the Jurassic World series of like, we're a direct sequel to Jurassic Park. We ignore the other two sequels, and this is the main line now, and we're going to do sequels better than those stupid films. And they only do worse. It's
far worse. Yeah,
which is dumb because they have like in a way like better premises, but they execute them horribly.
Yeah,
horribly.
It is so bad. That last one before whatever the last one was, I didn't even see it. I probably never want to watch it. But as soon as the ending of the one before that, the fucking little girl pressing the button to release them. It's
the clone girl with the animals.
I was
so upset. Oh, so
let me unleash havoc on America. And
they
then
all try to eat me. They all try to eat me, and all they do is try to kill everything. I don't, but they're just like me though. So I'm gonna
just the herbivores. They're too big to just release into the public. Like they're not suited for humanity being the main dominating creature on this planet.
And they act like humans are helpless to defend against these. We'd annihilate the shit out of them.
The sequel to that, the Fallen Kingdom or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Nope.
No, you said
Oh
you
my
didn't see
God.
that one.
Oh my God.
Wait, wasn't it Dominion or Domination or what was it?
Whatever.
Fallen Kingdom was the one that
3.
that was the
Jurassic
second
World
one.
3.
Yeah.
They carry on this plot of her releasing the dinosaurs, and now it's like, oh, we just like live with dinosaurs. They were just a reality. We got fucking pterodactyls nesting at the top of skyscrapers on like our antennas, and we got herds of the like duckbill xenomorph head looking dinosaurs, like the ducky or whatever from
Yeah.
Land Before Time, that dinosaur.
Oh,
They like herds of
yeah.
them just running around. Yeah, Chris Pratt's just like, all right, we got to herd up these dinos now. Let me ride my horse, and what the hell? And he's just got this raptor living out in like Utah or whatever in the wilderness. And I get that the more we learn about dinosaurs, they think that like they weren't just straight reptiles, that they might have had some bit of warm bloodedness to them. It seems to be like an argument, especially with like the feathers in a lot of dinosaurs later on, that they had some sort of like, self-regulation, not just reliance on the sun. So it's like an interesting new science to add to this, sci-fi franchise. But it just gets so ridiculous, so lazy with some of these scares and attacks and the convenience. The stupid Giganotosaurus, which I guess is his actual like name, but I always read it on accident. I guess dyslexia or something, is like Gigantosaurus as a kid, which would make sense because I think it's supposed to be bigger than T-Rex. Supposed to be like, I think, one of the biggest predators in the dinosaur catalog we know thus far. So yeah, I always thought it was Gigantosaurus, but no, it's Giganotosaurus. It's its actual name, not just a stupid. But no, the main thread is like, all right, we just are now like dinosaurs are a reality, and then Bryce Dallas Howard is with like her little crew, and they're trying to free dinosaurs. There's this whole illegal harvesting of dinosaurs for meat or trade, whatever, from like cattle companies. So they like save like a baby Triceratops or something like it from a like cattle company, and then Laura Dern, because of her plant knowledge, she gets roped into the plot because there's like super prehistoric swarms of grasshoppers that are like this fucking big. That's a huge plot thread. It's not just like, oh yeah, like not only is there dinosaurs, but like some of the fauna and bugs they also created from like the genetic shit. It's a big plot thread. It's actually like the final act. It comes into play. There's like a fire swarm of these fucking bugs that create chaos for like the finale.
Wait. Didn't these all get released from a fucking black market fucking mansion? You tell me that they had bugs in there too they were trying to sell?
No, well, that's the thing too. They also different dinosaurs that weren't there are now here, right? And it's like just they all repopulated and migrated everywhere, and it's like I didn't see the movie, but that's what the trailers show.
There's so much where it's like it's not even dinosaur, it's like other shit. And so
where does that shit come from though?
So okay, so Evil Corporation, it's funny because it's like Pfizer essentially. They've manufactured a problem. So they make like seeds that their crops are the only thing resistant to these swarms of bugs. So farmers that haven't bought their seeds are getting their crops ravaged by these swarms of grasshoppers. And so the like mega farmers that get the good seeds from the company aren't getting attacked. This is part of like their global
that really
initiative.
That's Monsanto. Yeah,
exactly. Rogan did a stream like a year ago with the guy that researched all this kind of shit. And so it's like it's that kind of stuff where it's like they've manufactured this problem.
Does, yeah.
And and yeah, they bring in the Dilophosaurus, the big frilled lizard dinosaur.
Yeah.
That they have like a pack of them. Bring the poetic comeuppance to bad corporation man that has engineers. So they seem like they're a good corporation because like they're doing this shit and all these different avenues of research. Goldblum is working for them, and so they bring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Goldblum together through this corporation from the different tangents, and Oh man. Oh yeah. So they got like this big haven. They're trying to like do this like natural preserve for the dinosaurs, where it's like they have some sensor in them or some shit where they can't like go outside of like a certain perimeter that they've built, but it's like a giant range that they just like free range. And then there's actually a good scare sequence with Bryce Dallas Howard. She has to parachute out of a plane. You don't know what's happened to Chris Pratt yet, to get like for no reason attacked by one of these pterodactyl things. Their plane gets attacked, and so they're crashing. Only like enough parachutes for Black Lady that I thought they're going to do like a real woke shit with her, because it seemed like she's alphabet, but they never really dig into that, so that's okay. She wasn't bad.
Out of the movie.
She wasn't bad actress or anything. She served her plot. There's kind of this Indiana Jones Mission Impossible sequence. They maintain that whole raptor laser pointer plot, and so they got
that's so dumb.
Yeah, so Chris Pratt because they're essentially someone stole their surrogate daughter, the clone girl. So they got like Blue and Blue's baby out in the wild, and then they're having the clone girl, and she's like hidden out, and so they're like her parents, and she's rebelling because it's like, hey, you can't go out on your own and shit, because like people are going to try to get you, and and of course they do. When they're trying to get Blue, they find the girl, so it's like, hey, we'll get her for research. Her mom ends up being a big plot, and her and Blue. Baby Blue or whatever, they're both captured for research for I don't know, just so much crap in this, and it's like so hard to get your head around. And then
was baby Blue's dad blue balls?
They do have this cool ass Freddy Krueger dinosaur. It's got like, I don't know if it's a real dinosaur, I assume it is, but it's like this big like ostrich thing with like Freddy Krueger claws. And so T-Rex and Freddy Krueger end up like teaming up at the end fight that they're all caught in to kill Giganotosaurus, which again, Giganotosaurus is a real dinosaur. It's not like it's the whole engineering shit of like make a super dinosaur. It's just they made a super dinosaur, like a legitimate super dinosaur. It's just, it's all over the place. It was so, I remember I went with this guy and he's just like, yeah, that was cool. And I'm like, I gotta leave. It's just
you're fired.
Yeah, like I remember I went with a friend. He's not a Star Wars guy, but we went to see Last Jedi. And me not being original trilogy guy, not giving a fuck about Luke Skywalker in that way. Aside from like just storyline, I'm not going to care about the investment because like Luke's whatever. I've only appreciated Luke Skywalker because of all the like Last Jedi essays I've watched showing like his struggle and so I'm the guy who's like, no, Luke's not a Gary Stu. Luke Skywalker sucks. He always loses. People save his ass. That's why he's redeeming, because he's not the badass. When people cry about Mando, like, oh, you just want the hero to do a laser sword and take out hundreds of troopers. It's like, he's never done that. He's always lost.
That's something that bugs me when they
sucks.
say that. They always say, you want Luke to flip around with lightsabers and swinging around. I'm like,
he's never done it. A little bit. In
the Return of the Jedi, he hops from boat to boat because he has to hop to boat to get to the boats. That's it. Other than that, it's not.
It's so
he's
frustrating.
He's pretty chill most of the movies. He's not the action.
The big thing is, for people like I. So I was born 81. So I remember having, the precious memories of watching the original series, and that was mine. Episode 1 came out, I think, when I was in high school. The Phantom Menace, and I guess even though I was really young when I first started seeing the first Star Wars movies, I never really had that attachment to the prequels that a lot of people do. I didn't have the real hatred for it like so many people do, but at the very least, like I can say that because Luke Skywalker was my Jedi, I can say that you're right. I never really put that much thought into it. That he never really did that much badass shit. But of course, the original trilogy. I mean, you can look at the I was gonna say laser battle, the lightsaber battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi look just like two geriatrics hitting each other with their canes, but that's just because of the production back in the day. The fantasy for people like me was always that it was after Return of the Jedi when Luke became officially a Jedi himself, and that's when the really cool shit happened that unfortunately we just never got to see.
Yeah, that's where it should have happened if there was going to be anything.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, so it was really exciting. Like in the Mandalorian, I don't know if I guess you haven't seen.
He knows the ending
I've
of
seen
that
all the
Okay.
season.
spoilers.
He's
and
already
everything,
seen Book
yeah.
of Boba Fett, so he knows about Luke and stuff.
Yeah, so like when he has the scene when he shows up, and immediately when you see the red lightsaber and you see his glove, you know that's Luke, and so that was always the fantasy that we
Red
wanted to see him.
lightsaber and glove.
No, his green.
I
his green
wasn't
lightsaber.
gonna say it.
I know.
I heard it, but I was like, I know what he's saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was I remember the first time I saw that scene, man, and I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it because I always wanted to see that. I always want to see Luke at his real, true, Jedi Prime, being the true badass that he really is. We should have been able to see him like that, and unfortunately, Disney Star Wars just turned into a little cuck bitch.
You know what's funny is watching that episode. I think because sometimes I'll catch episode after like I'm already seeing shit on Twitter, and I'm not one to care about spoilers. Like I went into Force Awakens having read all the leaks I could every day. I was checking Google for any. So yeah, my original Star Wars following at all was Mike Zero, because back then he was referenced in articles as sources, and
His
so back then he was legit. Back then his coverage was legit, and so I was following him all the time whenever I could leading into Last Jedi. And then after Last Jedi, I'm like, oh no, I didn't know other people were aware of him too. Of course they would be, but like, yeah, I wasn't in like Star Wars is just me. I didn't have anybody with Star Wars for like, I've been a fan since '99 when the
you didn't grow up in the
fandom
of like,
yeah, it was just like I love this, and then it's nerd shit. So once you talk to other nerds, you just shut the fuck up about liking Star Wars. You don't want to get like picked on or anything. It's nerd shit, and that's another problem with Star Wars is it's always been it's been bigger than sci-fi, so it's always been in public consciousness, but it's always been like you had to restrain yourself, and now it's like everyone like Baby Yoda, and like I love Baby Yoda, but that's the problem with Star Wars, that it's
popular now. It's sought after by.
It's popular for everyone. It's not popular just for the nerds, and so you don't have the people. You have people that's like, oh, it's just another thing, versus like, we love this because this speaks to us.
They want people that won't invest it. They want people that won't invest in it to watch it for some reason.
Yeah, but watching that first that Mando episode with Luke coming in, what I was thinking, because they already laid the groundwork with Ahsoka, and this is after the Empire. So when I saw the lone X-wing, my thought was not Luke Skywalker. My thought was, oh fuck, is Ahsoka, because she's like, I'm not helping, I'm not a Jedi. But then I thought like, oh, this is her, like, you know what? I better answer this call. I better quit hiding and being a non-Jedi or whatever the fuck she's calling herself. And so, especially with like, you had Din and then all these girls, and so I was expecting like, oh, here's like, it can work, but here's gonna be like this woke like, don't worry, we got her, like Avengers Endgame.
Girls get it done.
Yeah, girls get it done. Yeah. I thought it was going that way, and then I saw like, okay, the X-wing. I'm thinking it's Ahsoka, and then you see like the black hooded figure. I'm thinking, no way, this is Luke Skywalker. This is total fake out. It's gonna be some unknown Jedi. And then it's like, all right, the hand. I'm like, oh man, that lightsaber looks like Luke Skywalker. And then it's like, fuck, it's Luke Skywalker. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Me not care about Luke. I'm like, awesome. This is great. So Star Wars theory crying is that like, it makes perfect sense. Like I'm happy for the people that are, that is Star Wars for them. I'm very happy, but I don't get the hate of like, well, it leads to the sequel trilogy, so fuck it. And it's like, they're trying to like worm around and make it good. They're working with what they got. Like, they're stuck with the sequel trilogy. You shouldn't be watching this future Star Wars if you're just so hard pressed about boohoo the sequels happen. Like, just leave already, like
Andor. Apparently I've only seen like an episode. I'm trying to watch a bunch of shit, I'm trying to catch up on everything that I can, but I got into film way too late. So I'm trying to catch up on things and stay current. That's hard to do.
I'm I'm that way with video games now. I haven't played games in so damn long, and now I've got so many people in the Legion of Memers who wants to do gaming streams, and I'm like, well, maybe some gaming streams on my channel will do well. So I bought a fucking Nintendo Switch, and now I'm getting fucking pulled into playing all kinds of other games. I started playing that fucking Zelda Breath of the Wild because everyone says the best fucking Nintendo Switch game. Like, I have not played a game like this in so fucking long. There's no way this is worth $60. I am 100% completely addicted to that fucking game now.
Good.
That game is good.
Rookie, you'll be happy to know, because I got a PS4 from the pawn shop recently. Yeah, I'm a thrifty guy. I will be playing Last of Us soon. This one's coming from Alaska, so I don't know how long it'll take to come from. This is my first ever purchase from Alaska through eBay, but yeah, I'll finally play Last of Us cognizantly as an adult. I played a little bit of it on PS3, just wasn't for me back then, but now, especially with the show, I think I'm really going to appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to play the game. I never played it either. I've only heard all the terrible things about the second one, so I'll probably never play that. But God, that show, I'll tell you what, I started off liking that show until a friend of mine really ripped into me and pointed out all the reasons why it does suck. But then, of course, it was episode 3, and I'm like, okay, this show really is garbage if an entire fucking episode is going to be based around this. I mean, that's ultimate woke right there. You spend an entire hour for 2 characters who apparently they were only in the game for like a flash of a second. And you put up, 20 years of a love story between 2 gay men just to put up a love story of 2 gay men. It was terrible.
I mean, and so Angus and I come from a different angle on this one. I'd say we're in the camp of it's not woke at all in this episode. Actually, that's how we.
I'll give you some context. I'll give you some context for like my perspective. So, I'm bi. I'm very hetero. I could never see myself in a Bill and Frank situation. I grew up hetero. I grew up Christian, all that. So like the gayness in me is very stunted. It's like I'll play, but I'm not gonna invest. So I'm aware of like it's a weird like limitation. But I'm open, I guess, if that makes sense. But clearly, talk with me. I'm not a fucking alphabet person. If anything, I interject the bisexuality just to like try to any followers, to show like there's a range, that people with demographics aren't a box, and also to like, I don't know, show some confidence of like you're a man. Do like make your own path. Don't like be afraid because of stigmas or wherever you're from. Like, do you? So that's why I interject. So gayness in the community, I don't interact in that way, and so I don't have that attachment with this episode. I just thought like they set it up with all these signals of like, here's a Trump right-wing alt-right conspiracy theorist, doomsday prepper, he's a wacko, and then it's like, oh, he's gay. And it's like, that's so nice for me, because it's like, I love seeing actual depth and range. And when they did that, it's like, wow, they didn't just have some fucking flamer, defective woman, gay guy. They had a well-developed, complex gay person to add to, what is just easily stereotype demographic for film. And ultimately the episode and the purpose, just like episode 7, is to reinforce a lesson that even though Joel's not really a part of most of that story, the sentiment that someone like, is it Bill? Bill's the
prepper.
Ron Swanson. Yeah. So yeah, what Bill learned, where like he's like, I wasn't scared before, and now he has something to lose. And so for the audience, but also for Joel, there's like the lesson, there's the kernel that is growing from that lesson that Bill, what he built to protect Frank and to care for who he loved. You're really only seeing for Joel, he's really just getting like products, a truck and some resources. But that's all there because Bill cared about someone. And so now it kind of reflects with Joel and Ellie in a way, because he's got like this new fatherly love to protect that he's been so hard of heart like Bill was, and now he has something
And after
bigger
he
than
just
him.
lost Tess as well.
But yeah, he also lost Tess, and that only like reinforces his rigidity of heart. And so like I see those like themes there implicit, and then also the actual complex, non-stereotypical, non narrative appropriate representation, where it's like, wow, from a show that could just go totally woke, especially with Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog's directly involved, Neil Druckmann's directly involved, they actually had a very nuanced take.
Yeah,
and I appreciate
it could have been this. Thank goodness the straights are all dead. Here we go, party hardy, let's hang away. Like we're like when we so we didn't see this one as very woke, and even if the creators wanted people to see it in a certain way, I don't think it came off that way necessarily. Yeah. Well, like because we see it as like it's a post-apocalyptic world where there's people trying to survive in whatever way. It's not strictly Joel and Ellie. But yeah, good.
I'll say this. I get where you're coming from. You know, your perspective, I could definitely see the rationalization and saying, you know, it's not necessarily woke. I would still disagree. For the point, for one, again, like my definition or the way at least I'm looking at how I would perceive things to be woke, as opposed to where it's just like we're talking about with the Knock of the Cabin, where it just happens to be a gay couple and it's not necessarily pushing a narrative. If it is a part of the story where it moves the story in a positive direction and continues to be entertaining, then I will say that I won't call it woke. I would say that for the reasons you kind of described, with, you know, that narrative of the love story and the building of that father-daughter relationship between them, I would disagree, because there's been so many things that have happened, especially in episodes after that develops that much better than what that episode did. I still look at that entire love story, like I said, they covered for 20 years out of these two characters, as being completely pointless. You know, yes, you're right that they get the truck because of them. They get weapons because of them. That's really it. They still could have ended up with the truck and weapons without that entire episode. That entire episode of this backstory between that couple. So when I see that, I see them as interjecting a gay love story just for the woke messaging of trying to show their inclusivity of homosexuality and the LGBT alphabet people. That's I mean, I just can't help but see it that way, because it was pointless. I really see that episode was 10 minutes of actual progress in the story of The Last of Us, and then absolutely the rest of it was just a gay love story filler.
I mean, yeah, that seems to be how a lot of people feel about it, which I can see that, especially with the creators specifically and what they do and what they wanted to push with some stuff. I can see that, but I don't know. I mean, pointless. I feel like I don't know, because the whole show, I feel, because I've seen clips from the game as well, it seems like they adapt things pretty well, and this is like one of those opportunities that they took to expand on something, I guess. Like there's not like, I think there could be ways they could maybe have made it more entertaining, I think, but I don't know, because the whole show to me is a post-apocalyptic show specifically, and they kind of do that throughout the show. It doesn't need to. Does the plot, is it pointless because it doesn't center around Joel and Ellie specifically for the most part? Well,
it centers around two characters that die in the end. I mean, that's really the thing, is that
is a character more does a character have a point if they live at the end but they're not in the rest of the story? Like with Henry and Sam, they died at the end too, but was that pointless?
Well, but if you're dedicating an entire episode, then it has to have more than just that. I mean, an entire episode for these guys, you're building up for something that really is in the end is really doesn't mean anything more than they have a truck now. I'm sorry, but that's really all it ends up being. Again, I'm perfectly fine. Like, if anyone disagrees with me, if you guys disagree, it's fine. But I can't see it really have been worth anything more than that. They end up with a truck in the end of the episode, and it's pointless. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see I guess I can sympathize with the audience where it's like, I want to see Joel and Ellie, and so that's why I'm here. And so, like, a sidetrack, I definitely see that angle as like, I disagree. Like, I think it's enjoyable and it adds just like an overall spirit to the show of like, in this like desolate world where like it's normal just to like off kids and throw them in a fire. Like, this is just routine now. This is where life's at. Seeing like a glimmer of hope somewhere in this world is nice, for what you expect to be just like desolate and depressing. I love desolate, depressing shit. But also, the 2 points I'll add about this is that I think in our sphere, a lot of people jumped on the interview where he said, "Oh, he tricked the audience." And of course, there's gonna be this vein of like, "Oh, you tricked us to watch gay. It's propaganda." And even if that was the intent of propaganda or inclusivity for checking a box, I think just the way the show was for that episode was so much more in depth than just a propaganda piece, in my opinion. Uh, even that was like the root of the intent. It's like artist intent versus how people receive it and what they take away. But also with the trick the audience, I read that interview, the whole article, and it read to me like the Joker. How I summarize the Joker as a film is a big trick. Todd Phillips wrote an indie film, a boring indie film, like what most people will be like, well, that's fucking boring. But he put the skin of a comic on it, and then people are like, oh, Joker, that's Batman property. Oh my god! And then it made $1 billion. But if it was just an indie film, same plot but no DC comics, maybe it'd make 100 million, maybe. So he tricked the audience to watch a real film, and that's how I read that. It was like, all right, the whole sell is like, this is adapting a game where you're grinding through killing shit all day, zombies, and I tricked you to watch a love story, an actual like intimate piece of film. So that's how I read it.
Yeah,
as like a trick. But also, I just there's the whole outrage about it where it's like, okay, I don't want to see gay shit. I get that perspective. I definitely do. Because I'm like, like burly men kissing, like, that's not what I'm looking for. I can appreciate when it's done like this.
I can appreciate you having that opinion.
I feel like some people, I guess, like, where we're coming from too is like with the people reacting, we're like, there's kids watching this, and it's like,
right, yeah.
But did you care when like the child got shot and killed and burned the child? And that's if this scene is so drastic for them, they can look away. Like that's what when you watch the first Terminator movie as a kid and they're having, so you might be like, oh no, well, okay, look away.
Yeah, no, it's like literally they it's like the kid comes in and it's like, oh, we're gonna get you ice cream and it's gonna be great, and then pitch him in the fire. Yeah, they fucking killed him. This is the state of the world. This is just like an everyday routine now. It's already not for kids. Not that I would say you can't show your kids something that's like mature.
It's aimed for adults and it's on HBO. It's on the Game of Thrones. It's on the Game of Thrones channel, essentially.
Right. But it's like, this is already in the show and I've never heard this. And then the gay episode that's really tame and in its presentation, they could have just like did the HBO thing and like, here's a gratuitous sex scene. No, they didn't. They restrained themselves from the potential that they could, and they're like, don't let your kids see this because two guys kiss. And it's like, even if like you're hard Christian and Sodom and Gomorrah is so pertinent in your view of like LGBT, etc. LGBT people, the little LGB, I'll say, are a reality. Kids that go to school with your kids might have mom and mom or dad and dad. This is or mom and dad and boyfriend and husband and polyamory. Like, this is a reality that like, this outrage is like, you cannot like it, but you get what I mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. So for one, I'll make a couple of points here. For one, I consider myself a conservative, but also socially liberal. I'm a person like, dude. You said that in chat that you're bi. Also, I don't care. I've had plenty of gay friends. I don't get grossed out by it. That doesn't offend me. I'm one of those people. As long as you're not trying to hurt anybody and you're not trying to push things on kids, and do what you want to do. It doesn't bother me at all. But two, on that same vein, then that episode could have been with a straight couple, and I would have called it just as pointless. It's just the pattern of what Hollywood is doing now that I can't help but look at that as being interjecting a woke agenda. That's the point with that. But it's still, like I said, if it was a straight couple, I still would have said that was still a completely fucking pointless episode. I'm just further upset because it looks like it's pushing an agenda.
See, I appreciate that perspective. Like when you add like, oh, if it's straight people, but that's not what I'm getting from a lot of the outrage. A lot of people, it's like, don't let your kids see this. It's like, kids don't want to see anybody kissing.
It's like, did the kid survive the clicker scene? Like, that was horrific.
Yeah. There's a fucking intense click for a kid. That'd give them nightmares. And I think it's good to show kids scary shit. When I was a kid, I was talking to Ricky about like watching all the slasher shit with my grandma, and then I'd hide under the covers at night till I passed out. But like eventually you get older, and you're like,
and as a kid, you're curious sometimes about the scary thing that's on the TV. You're like, well, what is that actually? I don't know. Will I brave to watch?
Chris says, I have no issues with LGB stuff, but no one that is watching a zombie apocalypse series is signing up to watch old man gay relationship stories. No, I agree. It was a surprise that they would make a focus aside from like what the game does with them. But I appreciate it, like I've said. But no, I totally get that perspective.
Think about that moment when they're in bed and, he's like, talking about, I don't just do this for being, trying to get a place to stay or whatever. Imagine if that was a straight couple and these are two characters we've never seen before. All of a sudden they're doing this long, elongated bedroom scene. You'll be saying, what the fuck is going on? I don't even know who these people are. Why do I care if they're fucking?
I guess if anything, it can show that this was a person that somebody like Joel was able to befriend somehow, considering we know how Joel is and we see how Bill is and how he's pretty much not wanting anything to be with people for the most part. I mean, that's an element that can be there. That's like sometimes having friends isn't bad when we see Joel's attitude of like pretty much kill anyone that comes near us kind of a thing.
Random Brad has a good comment. He says, two old crusties getting on. Yeehaw.
The intimacy part of the scenes, I think, were not good. As far as like, I don't want to see it. But
have you seen Boondock Saints, Soldier Spirit?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
So,
yeah,
Willem Dafoe. That's how I explain my sensibilities. When the guy's like, I wanted to come, he's like, fucking fag. That's me.
Like a joke when people say fag in a movie, like especially Mel Gibson, where like I show him Lethal Weapon, and there's like a point where the house blows up, and
no. Wait, hold on. So, have you seen Lethal Weapon?
Oh god, it's been a long time.
All right, so to refresh you, there's Murtaugh and Riggs. Murtaugh's the black guy.
Yeah,
he is a Vietnam vet. There's this plot thread of the banker's daughter that is like this parent suicide. They end up thinking that they find out in her toxicology she's been drugged, so there's like trying to follow the trail. So they're talking with him, and the guy's like, you find him and you let me kill him, or you kill him, whatever the case. We got to like find this guy who killed my daughter and get revenge. And he's like, you owe me, because he took a bayonet for him in Vietnam. Okay. And so you know anything about Vietnam, you know all the gray atrocities back and forth of us in the Kong and whatnot. Okay. So you think about that. And then they go to this house for like questioning or something, and it blows up. They timed the bombing wrong trying to kill these guys. And so Murtaugh, having been a Vietnam vet, instantly thinks of his buddy. Probably haven't seen people burned and shit in Vietnam. He's trying to pat him out. And being Mel Gibson, it makes it even funnier, given all of his interviews about gay and stuff. The first thing Riggs says is, what are you, a fag? All that content, we had to stop the because it's so fucking funny.
He's like, I'm trying to make sure you're not burned and on fire. Oh, fag. Get off.
In an interview, to add some of the hilarity, because it's Mel Gibson and all of the ire he gets from Hollywood for just his view on LGB. he had an interview in Spain about something about homosexuality. He points to his ass to the interview. Says, "This is for shitting." So just to, that gives you a full context of why that shit's funny as hell to me, especially because we're such PC culture. So
everything's a bad word nowadays. It's just like this word's coming back to us for fun, for humorous. That's for darn sure here.
I'm very pro Dick Masterson. Bring back the F word. Best gay characters are either Val Kilmer's Kiss Koss Bang Bang, or I guess he's trying to say Kill Bang. I don't know. Kiss Bang Bang. Or Willem in Boondock Saints. Yeah, see, that kind of thread of like, no one talks about Willem Dafoe, who's actually gay, in that character of like LGBT representation. That. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. Huh. You ever seen Last Temptation of Christ?
Don't think I have.
Very boring film. Super Scorsese. I watched it because it was Criterion. When I was a kid, I always heard the meme about the movies, like, oh, that's that movie where Jesus screws Mary Magdalene. And so, like, in Christendom, there's all this, like, ire to that film because of that. And I actually watched it, me being an atheist, and I'm like, so it's based on a book, and the whole thing was trying to revere the humanity of Christ. So that's the whole point of the film, is really focus on the human side of the God-man and his struggles and temptations and stuff. And so people like the Christians meme the film and say it's sacrilegious because, oh, he sleeps with Mary Magdalene. Doesn't happen in the film. What happens is he's on the cross and this like little girl angel comes. So it's really Satan, one of his demons. They're trying to tempt him off the cross. Like, you don't have to be on the cross. Like, you can just get off. Like, what are you doing this for? You know, you're God. And so then like, narratively they show like he's seeing the life he could have if he just got off the cross, and he sees like the Apostle Paul preaching about Christ, and he's like, no, like I'm not God, like what are you doing? And then you see this whole narrative where it goes back to Israel, and he's got fucking Mary Magdalene, they have a child and stuff, and so he's seeing his last temptation is the life he could have not doing the sacrifice, and that's the whole point of the film. But people meme it as like, oh, he screwed Mary Magdalene, sacrilegious. And it's like, shut the God, do you not know how to watch movies? Like,
don't even know.
Like, I'm in uproar for the reverence this film has, and I'm not even Christian. That's the irritation I have with that film.
You know, it's I don't know why you made me think of that. So now that I'm in this YouTube sphere, and you know, I had that one video that's got 22,000 views. It's amazing. What's amazing has been very few negative comments, and I've only had a couple of downvotes. So I guess there's just not that many people want to watch it if they hate Tom McDonald. But what's amazing is that we've done 2 review videos now, and 2 times now from 2 different people. We have these people screaming at both me and Pope Metallica, Pope, our Marine guy, calling us stolen valor. Both of these people call us stolen valor because we're wearing boonie caps. Said those aren't real military caps. People don't wear those in the military. Like, motherfucker, you don't know that those are standard issue. No, you don't see them wearing around on the streets, but you wear it out in the field. But the point I'm getting at is because clearly they didn't even watch the video to hear our commentary or talk about our military experience. They just saw a thumbnail or, you know, clicked and saw us wearing boonie caps and immediately just started screaming stolen valor without actually getting
all they need, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so yeah.
Curtis has seen it. Nice. Yeah, it's one of those, like, unless there was a monetary incentive to rewatch it for like an essay or something, I never want to see it again, but I appreciate it. And yeah, Willem Dafoe is especially being Green Goblin, like, he just looks creepy, you know, like that's the appeal for him.
He does. His creepy face is so awesome.
Knowing him for his iconic roles, especially as Green Goblin, then going back in time, seeing him as a younger actor as Christ is just like, that's weird. Especially because he did a film called Antichrist, where it's like this weird indie film. I only read about it, I've never seen it. I think I tried to watch it and I made like 2 minutes. I'm like, I can't fucking do this. It's this weird self-loathing film where it's like this couple's having like sex and their baby like crawls out the window and dies and they never hear it, and so then it becomes like literal self-flagellation and mutilation of themselves. But yeah, he does some weird shit.
I was gonna say, so what kind of movies do you want to see going forward? Considering the kind of slums that we're in, where on occasion we'll get a golden nugget, but that's very rare, essentially, and whatnot. What do you want to see? What kind of movie do you want to see?
Have you seen the trailer for Sisu?
Sisu? No,
what's that?
I've not heard that one. No.
What is this? How do you spell it?
It's a world Sizu, I think. It's a World War II movie. It's essentially, oh god, now all of a sudden I can't remember the name of the fucking movie. My brain just went.
You may read the blurb about it.
It's a shoot 'em up, killing fucking Nazis, just brutal style. Just if you want to pull up the trailer, dude, it's fucking epic. Right off the bat, you see this dude stick a fucking Bowie knife right through a guy's skull in the Red Band trailer.
The blurb for people interested is Sisu. When an ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness tries to take the loot in the city, Nazi soldiers led by a brutal SS officer battle him.
Yep, Chris Biss said, yeah, John Wick. That's what I was trying to think of. It's basically John Wick in World War II.
Okay, that's a good premise.
It looks good.
I want to see a film from the Nazi perspective and not like SS or the Final Solution people, just like the everyday soldier, like a sergeant or something in the German army.
All Quiet on the Western Front was World War I, but that was really, really fucking good.
Yeah, I plan to watch that. I own like anniversary Blu-ray edition of the original. Haven't watched it. I've seen one clip of the original. I was in a poetry class and there was this poem we were doing that was like personifying a body part or something. It was very like interesting perspective. And so the teacher, who's actually English, which was just added to the English-based class, he used the example from the film. The end of the original film is there's a soldier and he sees like a butterfly. He's in the trenches, but he's just kind of like absent-minded and sees beauty and reaches out to it, trying to get it like on his hand. And then a German sniper like sees him and gets an easy kill, but all you see is the hand die of the person. And it's just like, wow, it's so poetic and interesting. Especially knowing film history and seeing a lot of like the dumb shit when they were starting film and film history, and then seeing something so well thought and crafted just in that scene, not knowing the context of the film. Like, wow. I don't know. I was in a film history class and I really loved the first half. And then you got into like the 40s when it started getting like really like, well manufactured, but like boring for me. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, apparently one of the first like film inventions was like some medieval shit where like they had like a little hole and I guess mirrors or some shit and a candle in a box. And you could like use it for like a light box or something to like paint scenery behind you from the hole. Is weird shit that someone figured out. That's like the origin of film, is that invention. And then eventually we actually got film, and you get like the horse reel. Horse reel was like the first piece of film ever. Let me see the chat.
So you said you like John Wick. What do you think of the whole series so far, before that's coming out?
I never even saw all I ever saw was John Wick 1 when it first came out, and I think I might have been drunk when I first watched the first one, because I remember even falling asleep towards the end. I use this example we were talking about on one of my streams on Vets Talkin, and I use the example of an action movie. To me is the same thing as eating hot wings. I can enjoy hot wings as long as it has a good flavor. I don't like hot wings just to be hot, though. So it's the same thing with action movies. If an action movie doesn't actually have a good story that keeps me entertained, then I'm not going to be just entertained by just blood, guts, and shit blowing up all the time. But so I went back and I watched John Wick 1 again, and clearly, like I said, I must not have been in the right state of mind, because I went back and watched it and I fucking loved it, and immediately watched the other two. And now I cannot fucking wait to see John Wick 4.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the I like John Wick 1, but I like a lot of the technical aspects and like achievements physically in the sequels, but I those ones are boring to me. Like the action is cool, but like I'm bored. You know, if that makes sense. Like
Well,
I
and
like
again,
it
I think
there.
that's the way I initially always have looked at the first one. But now when I actually gave it a chance and I looked into it, and there's this intrigue now that I have behind this criminal enterprise, the assassin. I was gonna say Assassin's Creed, but whatever the hell they call it. This enterprise they have with these hotels and it's sacred land, and you can't. I found that really intriguing now, and a very interesting twist on the whole assassin story thing. So. Yeah, I mean, plot wise, it is still pretty basic, but I found it very interesting when I went back and finally watched it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the assassin element is the main interesting aspect to it, but I feel like they didn't explore into it well enough in the sequel films. I think they could have done better, maybe. Some elements I think were fine, but it's just overall I had little interest, I guess, in it. But it's still I appreciate big time the way that they do the scenes because it's hard to find. It's hard to find good gun action scenes mixed with combat like this in the modern day that isn't just schlocky. This was good, really good.
Yeah. What was your MOS? I know you've told me before, but what was your MOS?
So my first one was called Ground Surveillance Systems Operator. I was a military intelligence asset. We were the only all-male MOS out there, and I was assigned to. Yeah, hey, that's Marine Corps. We don't say "oorah," we say "hooah." The difference between the two is that we sound like we have a cock in our mouth. That was a Marine Corps joke. I was on Camp Fallujah with the Marines on my second tour in Iraq, and I saw them on the inside of a stall, and I said, "Touche, Marine, touche." So, but yeah, what was your question?
Oh, I was asking about your MOSs.
You're just curious what my MOS was?
Yeah. Well, so did you interact with like any special forces?
Yeah, well, my first as a GSR operator, I was assigned to 74th Long Range Surveillance Detachment, which isn't special operations, but it's considered like the top tier for your regular Army shit. So it's all of our leadership, every single NCO and officer in our detachment was all former 75th Ranger Regiment. So I had that exposure to the Ranger Regiment experience for my first 3 years, and then after that, I reclassed into psychological operations, which is a special operations specialty. And my unit specifically was assigned with Army Special Operations Command. So even when I went through training, we went through Special Warfare Training Center, the same school that Green Berets go through their training. So we did a lot of cross training with them from time to time. So I was around a lot of those guys. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I was asking that because usually when I try to explain Army, and it's like, well, I was assigned to like we were attached to an SF unit. I was just regular Army medic.
Mm-hmm.
But when I try to explain, like, you learn to use your weapon, fine. But what's cool and why I like John Wick on the technical aspect is the weapon. I don't know what to call it, weaponsmithing, I guess. I know it's not actually smithing, it's making the weapon, but you know what I mean. The use of the weapon.
You're talking about general maintenance?
No. Like how John Wick, like his quick loads and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, your firearm tactics, yeah.
Firearm tactics. There you go. I really like that in the film because my experience when we were deployed, there's a little bit of weapons training with the SF guys about like pieing around stuff and switching your arms for like close combat, where it's like you're not really using your sight, you point and shoot, things like that, which is I always keep at heart, even though I don't fuck with guns anymore. Need to get a gun, but things like to explain to the audience, like if let's say this mic is like a corner of a building, I'm coming around, especially in movies, you'll see everyone like hugs the wall and then they like go like this, when really you want the wall away from you, and you're like stepping, just minimizing how much of your body is exposed while you can still get like a sight picture. Or like if you're behind cover and you have to like go over to like shoot, using your weapon to like be the first target they're going for, and that's like your first key of like, are they sighting me or not? And then you reassess, or like switching arms, or like the quick load, or pulling your weapon from your holster. You're already ready to like pop, 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 pop while you're getting your sight. But also while you're doing that, you're actually keeping your weapon tight to your chest, then extending, instead of like all the time in films, it's like strong arm. I'm going around a corner. I'm going into a door. Strong arm. It's like, that's fucking stupid. You're going to get it caught. You want it tight. And so just that little experience from the SF guys teaching us little tricks like that always stuck with me.
When you've been through any kind of training like that, everything that you see Keanu doing, exactly you're talking about in the training I went through, called the soul position, when you're keeping the pistol in position, barrel down, you can always have it ready to pop up if you're coming around, and you see him doing that all the time in that movie. And you
quick
can
load.
see that. Yeah. You always, whenever you do a mag change, you always want to flip it out to the side, because if you just drop it right in front of you, you have the risk that you're gonna step on your magazine, you'll fall on your ass and you're dead. So yeah, it's a tactic. You always flip the magazine out to the side to do the reload.
So I'm laughing because I'm thinking of a banana, like whoop, like a Looney Tunes gag.
Yeah. But it happens. Yeah, it absolutely happens. That's the reason why you train. Yeah,
put this magazine there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love all the weapons tactics in John Wick, and the extensive training he did. He do hours of just dummy weapon pull from his pant line, for hours. And then like the gun ranges and stuff, great stuff. But then the plot, first one's fine, but then the end of the second one is when I fucking lose interest, because it's like, oh yeah, actually everyone in Central Park's a fucking assassin ready to shoot you.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And then the third one is like, everywhere I go, everyone's an assassin. Like, it totally devalue. You've like dumped loads and loads into what should be a very minute specialty in the world, and now you've flooded it and devalued the main suspense element for John Wick to survive. And you've made the extensive elite assassin community just get the same cannon fodder as like the stupid guards in the first film. And so I'm totally checked out, on top of just how exhausting it gets, where it's like every scene is like well shot, long shots of extensive combat, but it's just like, it's too much and there's not enough story. And if anything, I would love to see an origin for like Winston. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah,
young Winston story.
Which is probably what they're going to do. I mean, I think that they probably had intentions to do all the things that you're hating on from the start. They kept everything very mysterious to this point, so they can expand upon it in future movies. I mean, yeah, the fact that we don't know anything, the backstory about Winston at all, is probably because they probably would love to do a prequel sometime. But I mean, yeah, I get what you're talking about, where it seems kind of watered down. I look at it from a different perspective. This assassin thing is an entire world. This is an entire underbelly, not just of a criminal element, just of an assassin's element.
85% of humanity are assassins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have this whole blood creed thing going on. It's
well, I guess so. Yeah. Oh man, I mean, did you play Assassin's Creed ever?
A buddy of mine tried to get me into it after there's already been like 10 sequels. So I tried playing the first one, but at that point it was so old school I didn't find any interest in it.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is like with John Wick, there's no other point other than they want to kill him. And his thing is they kill the thing I love. That's like, after 3 films, what can you tell me about John Wick? Like, he is talented at killing. He likes dogs.
He got a cool car.
There's nothing really about him that I find investing either, like about him as a character. I don't care if he dies.
I guess to zoom out a bit with film for Spirit to understand us is did you watch House of Dragon?
Yeah, loved it.
So Rookie is someone that all of us collectively were hauling him for years to watch Game of Thrones, and he just drug his feet, didn't care. He watched an episode and was bored, and we're like, "What the fuck? You gotta stick it out, man! It's so good." And we're just frustrated, banging our heads. And then season 8 happens, and then he's like, "Oh, I'll start watching it." He watched half of it and then checked out. He's like, "I'm bored." And then we watch House of Dragon because of me and my investment. But he's like, "Yeah, whatever." And then the episode with her sleeping with Sir Kristen, that's what like caught his attention. And now we're rewatching. Well, I'm rewatching. He's watching Game of Thrones all the way through now with me over time, and just there's so much of just dialogue and the intrigue, and it's just all mostly just people talking and learning history, learning conflicts and how they
seeing tension build
the legacy
over time
of conflicts, not actual battles really. It's like if anything, that stuff gets away. So like when Damon like tricks the crabbers to surrender and then like murks them, and then you get like all the action. We're like, fuck.
We were kind of bored
with
this.
that. Like,
skip this.
Get back to the intrigue.
Get to the talking scene, please, where there's some interesting stuff going on. I guess my thing is like there's nothing in the John Wick world where you're that like there's elements of it, I guess, but there's like no people to invest anything in or what they're trying to do, as far as I can tell from what I saw. It's just like you guys want to kill other people that want to kill you. That's the only thing that's going on. There's nothing else. There's not even, I don't know. There's always something, even in like House of Dragons, where like, a lot of people want to kill each other, but it's not, they're not, they take forever to kill each other. They're not, it's like,
like, there's no weight to the crabber.
There's no weight tension, to the crabber. There's tension that builds up for most of these characters. With this, they just get in a fight and they kill each other. And to me, I'm just like, well, that's neat, but I could watch any scene in John Wick and not be lost because it's not as nothing's really relevant to the last scene, really.
Yeah, we've kind of become old men like Red Letter Media. We're like, oh, look, action stuff. Where's the weight?
That's why I guess Last of Us is fine for us, because like we don't care as much if there's zombies attacking everybody, because like I know with me, for me in my history with zombies, I saw Resident Evil was like the first zombie thing I ever saw, and like I've only seen zombie stuff where there's a bunch of stupid zombies that are mutated and weird, and there's a weird world. And I saw like Dawn of the Dead is fine, but I'd say it's kind of goofy still on its premise. Shaun of the Dead, I like that, but it's like I don't know. And so I never saw Walking Dead, and then so I don't know, seeing
that's actually a
post-apocalyptic setting. Yeah.
Yeah, Walking Dead is actually a good balance of like stupid zombie swarms, but you're invested in the characters and them surviving or figuring out problems around this element. So
they have great character development in that show, and they kill off so many characters that you really care about, that it really is high stakes. You never know who's going to die.
I gotta be honest, Carol should be fucking dead. It's cool that she's like the badass old lady now, but come on, she should be dead long ago.
I haven't even watched much of anything since Rick died. After when they started they did that time jump.
Not confirmed.
I know, but that's the other thing I fucking hate about it. Like everyone was hyping this up about Rick being dead. What? He's not.
I thought you were about to say time travel. I was like, wait a second, you didn't say that.
Dude, not faking death Rick, whatever you want to call it, that fake out to like just hold them in their back pocket narratively. That is probably as big, with my limited show experience, it's probably as big a shift as like Michael Scott leaving The Office, where it's like, this is still a good show, but you definitely are missing a huge part that like makes it work. And what's cool is like Rick, he's the main character sort of, but he's sort of not. It's kind of a Battleship Potemkin type of show where it's like he is the root of this group, and it's growing and
he's a connecting thread
and shrinking,
link them all together.
Yeah, but it's like I can't really say what is the main character. It's like he's the main facilitator for all these other characters, but he's not even the main character. It's just you're seeing a collective growing and shrinking.
It would probably be safer if somebody like him died, and then it's like, well, okay, so if that guy died, who like a Game of Thrones thing, where it's like, wait, that's supposed to be the main character. It's like, well,
oh yeah, no, they've done that plenty of times. There's so many characters that people have hung on to, and then those people will die in just brutal ways. I mean, I've actually started rewatching it, and I'm not to a point where I can't remember her name, but the little girl, they find her in the barn. I remember fucking like actually tearing up when that shit happened, dude. That shit is sad as fuck.
See, so I'm weird. I love when kids die in shows because it.
Oh god.
I feel like I understand his point. I understand Angus's point though, because it raises stakes to where not even children are. You look at Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah.
You know the kids are gonna be fine. It's like there's no way they're gonna get killed,
right?
And they don't get killed.
They like when they hold back, and then you make sequels. It's like, oh well, like I know where this is going. You know, you already undercut the element of fear and investment for me. And so my examples is like one of my favorite films, The Witch. First 5 minutes, witch fucking turns a baby into pulp for her like ritual, and then A Quiet Place. Kid dies first 5 minutes.
Yep.
And this leaves a scar for the whole movie. And then you're wondering, like, fuck, she's gonna have another baby in this world.
And we're following another kid that's slightly older, but it's like, well, that kid could get killed too, and that's no. Like, what? We'll actually be worried because they showed that they could do it.
Yeah, and Carol's daughter dying added so much for Daryl that otherwise it'd be like, yeah, here's like the gruff guy that has the bow, and you know he's kind of became a real sell for the ladies for the show, but they actually like you know play it pretty straight with him and grow, and that's kind of like the real start of his growth as a character. I think was his investment finding Carol's daughter. And yeah, so like you see or like Carl. That twist with Carl where it's like, oh, actually I've been bit, and I'm just like saying bye to everybody. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Carl.
What
was funny going in the show, so I watched the show for a couple seasons when it was like fairly new, and the second season, The Farm, I just maybe I was in the wrong state of mind, maybe I was too young, but I'm like, they're just stuck on this fucking farm, god damn. And then rewatching it, I'm like, crops. Okay, this is good, you know. And I pushed through past the farm and love it. But what I didn't know, I knew about Negan, and I was excited to finally understand the concept of Negan and everything. Great, but no one prepped me for the governor. He's better than Negan, and Negan's awesome.
Oh yeah. That's what's amazing too, is that that you get these bad guys that you're so intrigued by too. The show just does so well building these characters, and of course it was based off the comics, so you can't really say the show built it, but still, the great adaptation. And what's amazing also is you mentioned Daryl. Daryl wasn't even in the comics, but he became one of, if not the most popular character in the show. Someone who wasn't even in the graphic novel.
Which I think that's good when shows can do that kind of thing, because a lot of people will say just adapt a comic, or like just adapt the page for page essentially. That even if that were the case, like let me take all the dialogue, let me take all the poses and try to make that into a live action thing. You still have to add sound, music, the way that the actor for one, and then the way that they deliver a line and an action scene. It's going to be very different than the panel. Is what I'm getting at in general.
Chris Fisk says, I don't know if he's saying Carl or Coral. I think he's saying Carl, like Coral.
Coral.
Didn't die in the books. This is an example of a gender where they replace a male character with a female. Who did they replace him with?
Because, the daughter.
Oh, but daughter. She's still like a baby at that point.
They do the time jump after Rick quote unquote dies, and now she's wearing the sheriff hat.
Yeah, that was a bit cringe. Fuck that kid.
Plus is there time to then introduce more diversity of characters.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
the sign language character. I have to fucking look at subtitles because they have a fucking deaf character.
I didn't mind the deaf character, actually. I just hated her sister, the like trans thing. It's so fucking ugly. And how the fuck are they keeping that haircut like that in the apocalypse when like they've been running this whole time? And the fat guy from fucking Fantastic Beasts, like I mean, he's a little thinner than like that movie, but like this has been a couple years and they're like running all the time. It's like, how's he this plump?
Yeah. There should not be any fat people in the.
Well, I'd say there'd have to be. There'd have to be very few. Like if they have a limited enough area and are able to get enough food, there could probably be a few people that can manage that. But it'd have to be. I don't think you just randomly run into one. I think you'd have to go to their fortress or some shit.
That would be the leaders of like communism or something.
Like if our
people are starving.
If our leader here was he Rick, or is that the leader?
Rick's the leader of the main group. You're
like if you were to, all right, y'all are my subjects. Feed me. Like that could be fat.
What was intriguing watching the show is like I'm just getting invested in a very simple story. I didn't expect like the Negan Rick fight and stuff and how that progresses to become essentially Athens and Sparta, and I'm like, God, I love this.
It is it's amazing.
So like when people are like talking about Last of Us versus Walking Dead, it's like, oh yeah, they're going to retread the same elements because it's very simple storytelling. You don't have unless you have years and years of like societies like overcome in some way and found stability, you're going to have these very like stripped bare stories. But what I would say for people saying like, oh well, that's just going to be that, it's like Walking Dead is kind of political theory versus Last of Us is like psychology and relationships. If I had to like try to like dumb it down, to its
I could see
these
that.
parts.
Also, The Last of Us takes place further in the future after everything shut down. Again, like I know there was the time jump after Rick, quote unquote, dies. But even still, if I had to guess, that's probably still maybe even 10 years into it all. So you're looking at like 10 years versus 2 decades versus developments, and that's why you have these cities and towns with the what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I did love what was it, Alexandria, the city that they find, and it's like they're totally almost oblivious of the world outside.
Oh yeah.
I like that. That was a good element. Yeah. The if you didn't know, the comic creator Kirkman, he's actually deeply involved with that show. I don't know about now, but throughout its run, he was So he wrote some episodes, and I don't think he ever directed, but yeah. And I've watched interviews of film. He's talking about how like like we're not gonna do exactly the comics. Some things that work in comics aren't gonna work narratively for a show, and also just. You don't want to see the same exact thing.
Yeah. Now I used to watch back before streaming even became a huge thing when it was still coming on just weekly on AMC, and I would always watch the Talking Dead afterwards, the after show, and they always had they would bring on the creator of the comic book and all these other people on. A lot of the actors and actresses came on, and I always found that really intriguing. So I got a lot of the back information because I didn't read the comic books. But it was very intriguing to see the differences between how they did one versus the other.
He says, "You let the fat chick guard the food? Seriously?" Negan.
That's actually pretty funny.
Dude, I love having actually seen the Negan introduction and then rewatching Chappelle. Did you see Chappelle's skit on SNL of Negan?
Oh, I think I might have seen.
Where he plays his other character. He
brings all of his Chappelle show characters into like the ring of like who's going to get the fucking Lucille to the head, and he's got, and it's funny because like instead of like eeny meeny miny mo, he does like no, I think Chappelle's like eeny meeny miny mo. No. Fuck it. He goes bubble gum in a dish.
Yeah. How many something do you wish?
And then like he's got Clayton Bigsby. And he's like, "This is a Trump's America, boy." And then like the white Chappelle's like, "You're damn right."
I just found it. I'm watching this later.
It's hilarious. It was funny never watching the show and then actually watching it. It's like
funny shit.
Oh yeah, definitely
kill me. What is get more into you? What is this could be one of the same. But what is your, or at least one of, it's hard to pick, favorite films, and then what is one of your favorite war or conflict films?
So interesting that so when we first started doing our live streams on Vets Talking, we did one of our very first ones. We started doing everyone's most hated war movies, and then we did our favorite war movies or TV series. And so for my favorite war movie or series, I always pick Band of Brothers, my absolute favorite. Not just for the fact that it's just, I think it's one of the best made war features, whether it's TV show or anything, but also for the fact that I myself was a paratrooper, so I'm kind of find that connection.
Soft spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being in the paratroopers, the same thing. Just like Marines always take pride in being a Marine, so they know all about the history of the Marines. So when you're in airborne, we learn all about the the unit history and everything like that. And you take pride in the paratroopers of the past. So that really that has a soft spot for me. And seeing the airborne operations, it always brings back flashbacks to my the times I had jumping out of planes. As far as my favorite type, I Star Wars is my favorite, man. As far as movies go, the original Star Wars trilogy. I remember as a kid, in summertime, if we couldn't decide we wanted to go out, I would sometimes have all 3 VHSs of the original trilogy, and I would mix them up. Like, which one am I going to watch now? I don't know how many times I threw those fucking movies in the VHS, but I just watched them over and over and over again. I couldn't get enough of
them. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I've watched, I think, half of Band of Brothers, and I like watching the like intro or outro of like interviews of vets. What really stuck with me, I think it was the first episode where we talked about how back in their day for the draft, like people wanted to join on top of there being a draft, and how if you were disqualified, it would upset some guys so much that they would kill themselves because they couldn't go fight.
Yeah.
Versus now, where it's like, people don't get it. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I didn't join for patriotism or anything. Like, I was a kid when 9/11 happened. I was like in 4th grade seeing that on TV, and it's like, it was fucking annoying to me because as a kid, I only had NBC and CBS from the antenna for first few years I lived in Oklahoma, and so I only got to see cartoons. If it wasn't like a film we owned, I could only watch cartoons on Saturday with like Nick Jr. on CBS, like Blue's Clues and shit. I'd even drudge through Dora just because I wanted cartoons. And during 9/11, it was like, I don't know, a month or more of just 9/11 24/7 commentators about all these. I was a kid, so I'm not picking up any of this.
I could see as a kid that getting really fucking annoying.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was not that resonance for me with joining. Like, I sought out my recruiter. He got my ass, and he's like, yeah, you're not going to be infantry. Like, that's retarded. You're way too smart for that. So I ended up being a medic. Luckily, I was in an infantry unit, but yeah, I joined with like the Marine mentality. Like, I want to go kill. I want to be a warrior. And I couldn't swim, so I couldn't go to the Marines. So picked the Army. And yeah, I already had this mentality of like not doing Air Force because just generally, air power, it's like, it's kind of a pussy fight. You're fighting terrorists. They don't have technology really, it's like, that's a pussy move. Like, I want to, in our context of warfare, I want to like fight as close to like eye to eye, that was my mentality. And yeah, I don't know, I tell people all the time, and they're just like so perturbed, like, what, you didn't join for patriotism, you just joined to kill? And it's like, it's like with Jack Nicholson said, you need me. It's like, you need people like me. You don't want pussies to join just because you get a college GI Bill or whatever. I just need a job and my town sucks. Like, you need killers like me. When I watch stuff like Dark Knight and there's that guy's like, what those guys made their choice, and he's too pussy to turn the detonator. There's the mom with the kid. Even though it was rigged and is going to blow them both up, I'd be that guy. Snap right away. Me and my kid versus prisoners, no question. That's my mentality.
A good example to go with that. The one with the Johnny Lawrence movie.
Oh, yeah. Cobra Kai guy. Yeah, Johnny Lawrence.
I forget the actor.
Billy
that plays
Zabka
him.
is his name. He did I don't know if he directed, but he wrote this indie film in like Poland because he's rooted back in Poland, his family. It's a short film, and I've only read about it, I haven't seen it, but it's already powerful to me. And so essentially this guy is like a track operator or something like that, or like a drawbridge operator for like trains. And so it's a pretty boring job. He brings his kid with him, and the kid's fucking around. So he's like, "Hey, don't screw around because you might get hurt or something." And of course, the kid screws around and gets caught in the gearbox. And there's a train coming full of people. And so the dad makes a split-second decision, weighs the cost of like my kid or this train of people, and he turns the gearbox, kills his kid, saves the train that never knew about this. And then it ends in the future, and the guy has a wife and a new baby, or she's pregnant. So like he's, moved on or something. And I read that and I'm like, wow, what a great short story. I want to see that. But also, fuck that guy. I would make 1 million Auschwitz for my child. Like that's my extreme. Like that's my devotion. I think every parent should have that devotion. That's why you have society to balance the emotion and investment of like extremes like that.
They can bring an objective take to an emotional take.
Right. That's my devotion.
I want to do this. Society's like, no.
Yeah. And so that's like a way to like talk to like give you insight into my perspective and stuff. And so when I see stuff like that in like Dark Knight, it's like, oh, I get it. I get the narrative Nolan's painting of like humanity is inherently noble or something. Like, no, Joker's right. We're savages, like.
Well, yeah, like half those cops sold everybody out for themselves or for.
Yeah,
like that. And it was
like, my mom's in the hospital. And it's like, oh, I totally buy the cop that gets preyed on by Joker because I do the same fucking thing, But they paint it as like, well, bad people or they're weak-willed, and it's like,
there's a knife in the kid's throat or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
But I assume you were an adult when 9/11 happened. Did that influence you to join?
I was stationed in Italy, and we were on train deployment in Germany when 9/11 went down.
Okay. So you were already in, and we weren't at war yet. So what was your impetus?
So I joined in 2000. We have had no war. It was actually when I was in basic training when the USS Cole got bombed. Now that's a lost memory to everyone because 9/11 happened about a year later, and that kind of trumped that.
I remember seeing that as a kid.
Cool.
It didn't really, it didn't stick, but
I can't. God, I think I can't remember who it was that did. But it was like a suicide bombing, and they drove basically an IED boat next to the USS Cole, killed like 13 sailors. I when I was in high school, I was in junior ROTC for all 4 years in high school, and my favorite field trips when I was a teenager was going to Fort Drum, New York, and
New York's
living the other life. I did that. We would take trips to a submarine base in Connecticut. I got to go on a bunch of submarines and aircraft carriers. I saw all kinds of shit going on military field trips with the ROTC. Hell, I went. I opted to go on a field trip to Fort Drum instead of going to my prom. So
you passed up scoring with the prom queen for Drum. You crazy SOB.
I was a scrawny fucking $150 fucking 6'3" fucking scrawny ass little kid in high school, man. I wasn't scoring no fucking prom queen or any of that shit. I didn't bulk up until I got into the military, man.
I was a fat fucking high school, yeah. I'm lazy, but
I had that fucking metabolism. It was one day when I was in the Army, all of a sudden I had Burger King and I put on 10 pounds. But I loved all the idea about the military, man. I loved the structure of it. I was an outstanding cadet. I was an award-winning I won awards in drill and ceremony and all kinds of shit, man. I wanted to be a drill sergeant before I even joined the military. When I went in though, one of my instructors, he was a sergeant major with the 75th Ranger Regiment. The dude is fucking badass, dude. Vietnam vet, he's no fuck around kind of guy. And I was set on the idea of doing infantry initially, but I really came to the conclusion that I want to be more than a trigger puller. I knew damn well I want to be on the ground. I want to be in the field, but I want to be more than just a trigger puller. So when I got introduced to the MIMOS that I ended up going with, it was a great in between. We were in the field. I would spend more time in a hole in the ground watching the enemy than fucking being, in a tent. If everyone wants to assume, well, you're MI, so you must be a fucking pogue. Okay, go ahead, assume that. I don't fucking care. And it's even in the same way when I went into psychological operations. I wanted to be tactical PSYOP, which would have been a part of a 3-man team that would be going out with the SF ODAs and all that kind of shit. Didn't work out that way. I got stuck behind a desk because of my rank. But no, my ambitions when what's your major malfunction, numbnuts? Yeah. That's, dude. Yeah, when I was a cherry private, when I was with that infantry alerts detachment, I started believing my name was Fuckface after a while. But yeah, because we had no idea we were going to war. I joined in August of 2000, so it was September of the next year when 9/11 happened, and more than anything, I just wanted to be in the military and I wanted to travel. So being stationed in Italy was the absolute dream of mine. Being a paratrooper was another one. I was going to volunteer to go airborne, and then before I could even ask, they offered me $3,000 as a sign-up bonus. So I'm like, yeah, twist my arm, okay. But yeah, and then 9/11 kicked off, man, and being the fact that my unit at the time, the 173rd Airborne Brigade, was the quick reaction force of Europe, and the fact that we were already assembled, had all of our gear, we were like, fuck, dude, we're going to Afghanistan. This shit's happening. But instead, we ended up going to the field and going train for 2 weeks anyways, and it wasn't until Iraq kicked off in 2003 before we finally went. So that was a really weird experience for me, being the fact that I was in the military, and of course we're all full of piss and vinegar and ready to fucking go. And still had to just wait and train for 2 years before we finally got to see our quote unquote action, which of course, after that, if I ever heard any privates talking the way that I did, I wanted to slap them. But that's just your way of growing up in the military, though.
Yeah. I didn't see much action, but I got a bad cock tease. So like as a medic, you want to do your job, even though you don't want to do it on your guys, but you want to do your job. And so I went in 2013, 2014. And so by the time I went to Afghanistan, we were just stabilizing the Afghan army. And so it was very much like hands off and making them. Also, there was just the practicality of using the Afghans for meat cushions. It's like, well, this is your country. So that was overall, that was the actual like outlook in missions, was like, yeah, we let the Afghans and the essentially civilian EOD that was trained by us go out first, and then we follow and support. And so yeah, my first 24 hours at my actual like base in country in combat zone, we got this Afghan, because we lived with the Afghan army. Like, we had our separate spaces, but we lived with the Afghan army and Afghan SF. And they were coming back from a mission, and someone stepped off the trail, hit an IED, so they had like 4 of them get blasted. One dude got really fucked up. He eventually died. The guy they gave me, because I was the new medic at this place, he just had like back trauma that like, get an x-ray, I guess. Like, I can't help you. There's nothing to fix here for me. And and then like I go back to bed because I'm still like acclimated to the country. And then the SF medic's like, hey, get up. We got a couple kids. I'm just like, get up again. And yeah, we had 2 kids. One kid was probably 12, had both his legs blown off, but he ended up getting morphine. So he's a great patient in that regard, that like he's going to live. But I had the little kid, and he had like, his tongue was swollen. He clearly had like burn damage in some degree, not like burnt skin, but just like the explosion, whatever. But yeah, we lost him. but it's exciting even after like the trauma of experience, like a kid die. It was exciting. So like I did my job, and I've reacted well. Unfortunately, kids just decompensate so quick, so it was like a rush, and like fuck, we're in the combat. My unit, where my specific squad was, we had like the most contact from Afghans, like fighting, but it was bullshit. It was like spray and pray. They're just trying to draw you out to like hit an IED or something. And so after that, it was like pretty fucking boring. It's just guard duty. And then my next base was bigger, had way more cameras. Had a blimp cam, and again, like first day there, casualty, fix them up, send them out, and then nothing. And it was just pretty boring. Like I like Afghanistan. However desolate it is, it's beautiful. It's like being out in El Paso in the wilderness. Like I really liked it. If it wasn't for Islam being a factor, I'd fucking move there. Like just scrape out what I could in the boonies, get a camel and try to grow something. I really like it. I kind of envy those people for like the simplicity of life. Like they're worried about real shit. Not even with like the terrorist aspect and the Taliban taking back over. Like they're just, like I talked about, we live so abstract now. We're so removed from nature, even though it's right outside. We're so removed. It's not in our consciousness of like, if I break my leg, I can just call 911. Like that's not a factor. It's like we got to fix it here. I got to heal just straight like our ancestors. And there's something I appreciate about that. That I love being in the West. I love talking about fucking Star Wars and YouTubing and all that stupid shit. But you get what I mean? Like it sounds crazy.
Oh
but
yeah. No, I always recall back to when we go out and these people just randomly, like if we were at a security checkpoint or something, then they'll just all of a sudden people just start bringing us tea and all this, and like being all this hospitality out there. Now, granted, I'm sure a lot of times they were trying to kiss our ass. Here have some free bread so you don't kill me, shit like that. But in general, though, I mean, yeah, they're very neighborly people. They, unlike Western society, especially here in America, where people just won't even look at you. You can walk right by somebody. I'm that kind of person. Like I'm always trying to look to make eye contact with somebody and just give them a friendly hi. But it's so sad that thing. Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, because you're always looking for that to see if there's any rank on there. You should be saluting. Like, oh yeah, okay, no, yeah. But yeah, no, it's so sad. People they just can't even look at you. I have neighbors out here that I see plenty of times. They've never even looked up to say hi. Whereas out there, salam, just super, super friendly. Now, granted, of course, they are terrible fucking people to their wives and children, and but still the neighborly shit. Scott, I remember we were early on in Iraq, and because we were doing the stabilization after the invasion, and we would have in this town that we were assigned to, we would be on rotating details, and one of them was police station detail. So as we're rebuilding the police, they need our support. So if you're on that detail, then if they need to react to something, then you provide them support. That's the whole reason they're there. So we're outside, we're talking to one of the cops one day, and one of his kids all of a sudden comes over, and I don't know what the kid was saying. He might have been asking for money. He might have just been saying hello. Next thing I know, this fucking cop picks up a rock, and I'm not talking a small rock, I'm talking a big fucking rock, and he's at this fucking kid. Like, yalla, yalla. I remember him, that was the first time I ever heard yalla, 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 get the fuck out of here, basically. Like, God dang, kid, dude.
He's got like a cracked skull, and he's just like, get out of here, kid.
Yeah. Holy shit. You could have just told him go away. You didn't have to hurl a fucking boulder at his head.
Yeah, no, it's extreme. And it's cool that, like, you say what you want. We have our Western sensibilities and our ethics and whatnot. But despite, they've not progressed, they've maintained a culture. And so there's proof in the pudding in that way. Like, it's easy to say, oh, those shithole countries, and they are shitholes, but there's a consistency, there's a culture that we don't have anymore in our society. Like, we have products and we show, like, I like this thing, that's my identity. That's about the extent of us now.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's sad.
For me, as a kid, I saw Black Hawk Down when it came on pay-per-view on DirecTV. I fucking loved it. and that always stuck with me. Like I wanted to go to Iraq because there's cities there and towns to like kick indoors. I was hoping for that kind of experience. As desolate and as fucked up as that whole situation was for the Rangers and shit, and the support. That's what I was wanting when I joined, and then I got Afghanistan, and I got perspective from that and worldview and everything. But yeah, I didn't get the battle I wanted. So it's like, damn it.
Yeah,
Joined
see,
too late, too young.
Yeah, I looked in the opposite direction because I had multiple tours in Iraq, and I'm like, I would love to go to Afghanistan and get something different instead of all these fucking buildings all over the fucking place.
Yeah, it's kind of like a vacation that you can't leave your hotel. It's kind of what my experience was for the most part.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a crappy. You know what sucks? Okay, so coming home, we all like exfil to Mazar-e Sharif before you like leave, and so we were like the first unit or whatever to be on this like super plane. But first we had to stop in Romania. I had no idea we had a base in Romania. I'm a huge Vlad Dracula fan. I think Vlad Dracula is probably, after Leonidas, probably one of the most important figures in Western history, because he bared the brunt of the Ottoman Empire and kept the Muslims from invading West Europe. He was in talks with the Pope at the time to start a new crusade. Probably other, high ups of Europe back then too, but he's pertinently, like, he's in the mix of it with the Ottomans for years. And then the Pope dies, and so then the next Pope's like, we're not doing a fucking crusade. Like, we've done like 7 now. This isn't God's war. We're not doing that shit. And so Romania, Transylvania was just stuck on their own. And of course they looked out and they won, but yeah, so I see him as like an unsung hero of the West, but I was 2 hours from Castle Dracula. But I couldn't leave the base.
Yeah.
We were stuck there 36 hours. I was that close. I was 2 hours from Castle Dracula and I couldn't go.
Oh wow.
I hate that. Now I gotta like, try to save up money to fly to Romania and visit, it's like, but yeah, we after Romania, we were like the first people to fly in some super jet airliner that was like nonstop. We didn't stop in Germany. We flew all the way back to Maine from Romania. So
holy shit,
that was cool. Yeah. Normally you like leave America from where you're at, stop in Germany, and then hop over to like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, wherever.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've never been to Romania, but I did a short tour in Kosovo, and we were on a joint Italian and Romanian base, and the Romanians got us drunk, and we traded a bunch of shit. I've got a bunch of fucking souvenirs from these Romanian dudes. I could show you. It's in a box back there, though. But those are fun dudes.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, he says, if not for Vlad Tepes, the Muzzies would have conquered Europe back then. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. What's cool is like there's only one real biography that has any legitimacy, at least that I've looked in years ago, about Vlad. And what's cool is the people that wrote it I think they have the same names too. They have like direct ties to like the important families back then. So it's kind of cool. Like they're kind of preserving a legacy by doing the history of Vlad. But yeah, such an awesome dude. It's crazy. Yeah, like even though he was Christian and he converted to Catholicism, I assume for either alliance or marriage, he was vilified. Like medieval times, they would paint him as Pontius Pilate sentencing Christ. Because back then there was no nuance about Pontius Pilate, like in Passion of the Christ. It was just Pontius sentenced Jesus, so he's evil too, like the Pharisees.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, he never got his credit. And of course we immortalize him as the epicenter of vampirism. It makes you so sad. But yeah, Black Hawk Down, that was a big one for me for war films, conflict. That's why I say conflict, because that's not really a war for us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I was stationed in Italy when that came out. And I can't remember what it was. I think our brigade sergeant major or something was there or something like that. In any case, they rented out the on post theater for the entire brigade, got to circulate and go see the movie for free. It like has going in formation and everything to go line to go see this movie. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the only military base thing I did that like that, it wasn't even formal in that way, but I guess Fox or Warner Brothers, they like did free showing, I think at Knox. Yeah, I was at Knox back then for 300 Rise of an Empire for
Really?
the
That's
sequel.
cool.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. And then I think American Sniper. I saw American Sniper at Fort Drum.
Nice.
That was a good one. It's funny too, like some of the best war films are anti-war films. Like American Sniper is a big anti-war film. Full Metal Jacket, super anti-war.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the most iconic war films that patriots love.
You know, it's a really good one too. Very similar in that same vein. Generation Kill. Have you heard of this?
Dude, I got a friend at work that keeps recommending that, and I think he just sent me the trailer the other day, and I haven't watched it, but he's telling me all about it, and I'm like,
I'll tell you
awesome.
what, it's good for people who are in the military, but it never got popular because of its realism. Just like you were talking about how boring it is in Afghanistan. Same thing in Iraq. War is actually surprisingly boring. It's not constant action, and that's portrayed in this. There's so much realism, all the way down to like the minute little bickering that you'll catch over their radio transmissions. Everything is just accurate down to the T. When it comes, their interactions when they're in a Humvee, and you just absolutely can picture being there, doing the same kind of shit. But it's boring because it's not made to be entertained to your regular citizen who doesn't have knowledge of military activities. So it's a really good series.
Oh shit, Alexander Skarsgård. So that's the image I've seen of him in like military garb.
Yeah, the dude from True Blood.
Yeah,
yeah.
I need to watch True Blood.
Yeah, that's True Blood is surprisingly good. I can't believe I got hooked into it, but it's a really good show. I guess he's more known now for what was the one he just played as a Viking?
Oh, Northman.
Yeah, holy shit, that movie's good.
Yeah, I liked it. I love Robert Eggers. That's the director that did The Witch. So what's crazy about that director, I don't know what he did, set design or what for films, but he spent like 4 years studying the Pilgrims, like the Puritans, their like legal records of witch trials. And so it's a very authentic film. It's like the verbiage is their strange English. It's not necessarily old English, but for us it's old English, and they like the whole dialogue is in that way. All the paranoia, all the script is based on those court records from some of those witch trials. And they even built the set organically like they would with the like proper tools of the time. And like Salem historians love that film for its authenticity. It's essentially The Shining for Puritans, but like the witch, like they're already paranoid people, but like in this film, the witch is real. It's fucking awesome. But the way they sold it was like, if you watch the trailer and then you watch the film, you're like, this is very different from the trailer. The way they pitch it, it seems like it's just gonna be an onslaught of like a witch terrorizing. It's like, no, they're terrorizing, but it's like, it's very psychological mostly, and they're paranoia and they're Puritans, so everything's evil.
Yeah, as Puritans will view things. I saw Curtis said that he saw like half of Gen Kill but never finished it. I'll say this: if you do end up watching Generation Kill, be prepared. The final episode is one that it takes a very big time anti-war slant, and I was actually really disappointed by that. So just at least I'm giving you a head. It's still a great show and very worth watching, but at least you'll be much better prepared for when they shove that in your face at the end of it.
I assume Fist's talking about The Witch. Yeah, no, it's definitely just for the dialogue. It's a rewatch when we're like, wait, oh, but it's kind of beautiful. the way it's written and listening and like paying attention. It's like people read like Canterbury Tales and be like, it's fucking boring. But when you actually like get the flow right of how to read it, it's like, fuck, man. Especially when you read the first story of like the lover or whatever. Man, if you got a wife or girl, just sit her down and read that part of Canterbury Tales.
Okay.
There will be moisture. But yeah, we're gonna
real quick. I went to when I was still living out in New England. I went to Salem, Massachusetts for Halloween weekend. That place is the absolute best place to spend a Halloween weekend. It is the party central. So it's sad with that how commercialized that place has turned as far as that shit goes, but it was a fun ass place to be for Halloween.
Yeah, I definitely gotta go to Salem. I love shit like that.
It's
before we go, I want to show this clip I thought was pretty funny. I don't know if y'all think it's funny. I think it's pretty funny. Let me share. And no, Christmas, it's not useless. We're nerds. We love shit like that.
Fuck yeah.
Kick, boy, back in them days. And women knew they mother place back then. Yeah. And men was men, and women was afraid of men. That's when America was great. Yeah. That's what the white boy mean by make America great again. Punks didn't have no say-so and nothing. Gays couldn't say nothing. Gays couldn't say nothing to no man that he wasn't fucking. Yeah. Women damn sure better not say nothing about what they don't like. Man, don't you know you jump on your woman and the police get to the house and she can have 2 black eyes, fresh black eyes. And you tell the police, man, I asked her to cook dinner. She said something back, so I blacked eyes.
Oh my God.
And the police will tell you, hey, man, you ain't done nothing wrong. Get in their squad cars and go answer other calls. No, it used to be like that back in the day. Look at them was the days. Now you can't do nothing to you no more. You can't call up. You can't. And they read a bill. You can't do none of that no more. Many hoes are getting offended by being bitches. Shut up.
Oh my God.
I don't know who these guys are, but I need to subscribe ASAP.
Happy Women's Day.
Kick, boy, back in them days. And women knew they mother.
Yeah, Woodside Woes. That's one of those like Pog posters that I follow. Be like women with nice proportions. Check out Woodside Woes. But no, I'll definitely link in the vet chat whatever that channel is, because that's fucking
sounds good.
Sounds like a good old time with those guys.
Hell yeah. Until it gets canceled. He's right. He's right shade though. He's probably never gonna get canceled.
Does have that. So you saying right shade? Just real quick, I always say like, oh, like if you cancel white people, if you subjugate the white person in Western society, black guys better look the fuck out because they're next on the list.
Yep.
They don't realize it, but like the rap culture, thug culture, the hyper masculinity in that, it's gonna go away. Yep. You're next on the list.
They already lumped the Asians with the whites, so yeah.
Exactly. Like it's a crumbling house of cards.
Oh yeah.
White man's holding it up. That's the first victim. You're number 2. But yeah, anything you want to say about your channel? What's coming up?
Oh, well, we always have our show, Skinamax Saturday, 10 o'clock Eastern on Vets Talkin. Drop the G and you'll always find me. That's our regular just shooting the shit kind of thing like we're doing right here. I'm usually having a few beers and getting a little buzzed. At some point, we're going to start another. We were doing Vets Talking Tuesday, but that was conflicting with the Geeks and Gamers Tuesday night main event. I'm thinking we're going to do a weekly political panel at some point. We're just going to be more serious talk. Basically, disgruntled vets bitching and whine about the woke shit going on. Especially because that ended up being a very big appeal for my very large Tom McDonald audience now was my review of America. They love the political opinion I had in that. So I think that my very large new Tom McDonald audience are going to be looking for more of that. So that's probably what we're going to do. You did mention I'm doing Picard reviews. Today was the first time since season 3 started that I didn't do review on the same day. So I'll do that tomorrow, and look out for another Tom McDonald review. Hopefully next one I put out should put me over the top, and I'll be able to get monetized. So. Yeah, come check us out. Let's Talk and Drop the G. You'll find me.
Yeah. As far as me and Rookie streaming, come by Sunday night. We'll be reacting to Last of Us finale. We're loving it. Had a good time Sunday. Hopefully the men's room will come on. He's a big Last of Us gamer. I haven't experienced, so he adds that context. Me and Rookie will probably just be gushing, and then he'll be like, the game, and
we'll see, because
I appreciate that.
We'll see, the end of the game was another controversial sort of discussion, I guess, of morality for Joel. So I'm curious what they'll actually choose to do in the show.
It's like knowing the ending of the game, I'm like, this guy's kind of a villain. Like, not that he is villain. He's not like Thanos or Joker or anything, but kind of a villain.
He does the world, I'm saving this kid kind of mentality.
Right. Yeah. He takes the parent angle, and I totally emotionally invest in that. And it's why it resonates as a story thread. But it's like, but, maybe you do owe humanity that chance, and you robbed them. So fuck you.
Maybe.
That's why it sticks so well, because it's like there's not a right answer. I think that's why it's been such an iconic game.
It can be discussed like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be seeing Scream 6 tomorrow, and then 65 the next day. And I won't have time to stream on those days at all, because I'm literally squeezing it in like right before I go to work. I work at 5 and movies at 2. So I'm doing a short little window there to get done with the movie and hurry on to work. But I'll probably stream on those on Sunday also.
Yeah. Otherwise, I just want to chill, if you want to support the channel, because I'm not monetized. I lost it being gone so long. Appreciate any of your viewership to help me get back to that. And if you want to support, ultimately, any money I can make or overtime I do, it goes in my meth gator coffer, trying to get this comic book made. If I want to get it done soon, I can't do it alone. So appreciate any help. Check out the link, or if you just want to support the channel, but it's going for that. So and Tuesday I'll be having another Comic Skate stream with Jimmy Reyes, possibly another campaigner as well. But we'll be picking Jimmy Reyes' brain, Dragon Rage, and so we got a couple streams coming up over this next week span. So thanks for coming by. Go check out Vets Talkin, good content, and get them monetized. Help them with that, and watch the Skinemax and all that other stuff too. Appreciate him coming on, and
thanks for having me on, man.
More times with him as a panelist for the future if he will come. So thank you. Talk to you later.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Heck yeah.